If any of you take on any damage, get back to me ASAP, and I'll help you out.
Brother!
I'm not carrying any dead bodies back.
I have the recessive genes.
I'm locked, loaded, and ready to make shit dead.
Blah, blah, nigga. Alright, let's go.
Amazingly engrossed like that.
Oh, A down sights? Oh, I know, right? I guess I could technically fake it. Ah! Shit! That was a real scream that time! Fuck! I hate you! I hate you! Give me my...
Shoot him with the oh, head. Get over here. Shoot you with the dick.
Any more tricks up your sleeve?
I will keep them coming.
Man, I am thoroughly enjoying this already, and it's been like 10 seconds.
Yalla, habibi! Yalla!
Touch
What up,
me.
Ezio?
Oh, fuck. What?
Hope your cruise is going well.
Don't look at me.
It's awesome. Alright,
Don't look at me.
start. I got an entree coming soon. Alright, I just need a minute. Sorry.
Saw nothing.
Just last
Meant to do
checks,
that.
you know? Also, this is early for me. Yeah, it might be a short stream. I'm actually pretty tired.
How am I supposed to go
We'll
there if I
see,
can't
we'll
look there?
A short stream
I
turned
thought
into
I
8
was going the right
hours
way.
a few days ago.
Oh yeah, that's funny. The last time I mentioned my sisters, I was talking about Cyber Like It. I was like, he's such a Chad. I love him so much. I'd let him date one of my sisters. The only Cyber. But he's taken. So he can't. Well, you know, after, and like fucking Scorpion himself, he just climbed his way out of the Nether Realm and got his revenge. And it was down to me and him, and I didn't win a single round of that fight. He fucking wiped his ass with me. So if I was there, I would have been second. LOL. Oh, you're talking shit. Okay. Did I break the TV? Daddy, I'm sorry. I don't know where I'm going. I don't know
All
where I'm
right.
going.
Sick.
I don't know where I'm going.
Let's do this.
Come through.
Hello. Everybody's doing well tonight. I did a lot of troubleshooting and I fixed some shit. Because of the camera and stuff, it's just, and the stuff I want in here, it's like give and take, you know. Because like last few streams, sorry, I have like a strawberry seed in my mouth. I was scarfing down a smoothie, but I had like a weird, like half of it was black, you know, and you can still see like just a dash of it, but it's way better now. But yeah, I had to match the shutter speed. I knew that. It's just I thought 60 would have been fine, but I had to bump it down to 30, and then you know now I feel like there's like slight blur happening, but it's whatever. I really wanted that, and it's a lot clearer. So I think it's Gucci. I think we're good. What's on right now? Oh yeah, Power Rangers or Super Sentai. Call me Jack Sparrow. What up, Jack Sparrow? I'm at sea. Hell yeah, dude. You gotta say, you'll always remember this day as the day you almost caught Captain Jack Sparrow. If you haven't already. If not, that's an order. I order you. Hold on, let me check my notifications. Oh, damn. Damn. Alright, cool. I can't hear you, but have a good stream. Wait, is my shit working? Let's see. Stream? Wait, is my shit working? Okay, yeah, it is. You have a great stream. Enjoy your entree and the ocean and like the sea and then the cruise itself. And the bumper cars. I know you can't hear me, But you said the bumper car area turns into something else at night. That sounds awesome. But yeah, brother. All right, let's play this. Actually, yeah, we're good. I don't think this is gonna be a long stream, but also he doesn't watch my streams. But I want to give a shout out to my coworker Robert. He is an awesome dude. I will kill for him. So you know what this dude did? Not only did he give me Super Nintendo and some games for it, but the other day he gave me a fucking GameCube, dude. He gave me a GameCube, and it has the Game Boy Advance player, which is awesome. You want to know why? Because the next game in the Onimusha series is Onimusha Tactics, a Game Boy Advance game. And when I can, you know, I'd rather... Hey, what up, Frenchie? How you doing, dude? When I can, I'd much rather stream actual hardware, as long as it's not like too much of a quality trade-off. But I just think it's cool. So I have a GameCube hooked up right now. I have a cat trying to get my attention. Oh, she's running away. I also have, the Game Boy reader, or the Game Boy player for it. So that's just cool. I like it. Sup, chat? Survived the work week barely? Oh, I feel it. Oh, well, fuck, dude. My work week's starting. And my weekend wasn't long enough. But I think I'm good enough, you know. But, yeah. Sorry. New GameCube, who dis, and then, like, 14 games. So that's awesome. So shout out to Robert. Perfect timing, too. That was cool. Like I said, the next game is a Game Boy Advance game. I think it's, like, the only official way to capture Game Boy Advance. Unless I get one of those, like, expensive consoleizers. I don't know if you've seen those online. But, yeah, we could transfer over. Excuse me. Like right before stream, I scarfed down a protein shake, so I'm just like, but this one, getting them gains, trying because we're getting fat. So this might be loud. I don't know. If it is, I can adjust shit. But yeah, this is Onimusha Tactics. Okay, cool. I wish I got that thing installed so I can see what emote that is. I should be trying to lose some weight. Yeah, I feel like to an extent we all should, you know? So it's too late for a summer body now, but, you know, maybe a winter body. Alright, and then I got Godzilla versus Megalon on. So I'm just kind of proud of getting that finally set up. And looking decent, because it was blown out, you know, but like I said, it was trade-offs. I had no intentions of going outside this summer, or any summer, to be honest. Too hot. Yeah, dude, it's fucking hot as hell here, too. Where are you again? If you're comfortable with saying. I live in Las Vegas. And it's a fucking CT. Is that Kentucky? No. Connecticut? Kentucky's a K. I'm stupid. That's funny. But what was I gonna say? It wasn't too bad today. I think the high was like 90 something. First. What up, Paul? How you doing? Disgustingly hot and humid? Yeah, humidity kills me. I hate the humidity. So I'd rather have something like Las Vegas over that. What's my mic picking up? I see my mic reacting. And we have a crazy heat wave this week. I like my pants. The reference. Alright, hold on. Let me see if I can fix something. I think my mic is picking up some background noise. Shouldn't, though. Where's my redeem, damn it? Wait. You don't see it? Did you redeem something? I want a refund. Wait. Actually? Did something happen? Did you redeem something? It's not working? Damn it. Properties. Refresh. I want to speak to the manager. I am the manager. Karen. I know which one you wanted to do. Let me see if I can get it to work. Here, is this it? There you go. Is that the one? When the fuck did Onimusha turn into a J game? When the fuck did Onimusha turn into a J game? Right after Onimusha 2? That's funny, dude. That's funny. A J game. Close enough. Was that not it? Oh, you did this one, I bet.
Shut up, bitch!
And then you probably did this one. Maybe. Actually. There you go. Yeah, I fixed it. I was gonna do something though. Jensen's phone. Oh, that one. Okay. I'll do that one. What's that one called again? Jensen's phone.
This is now gonna be in my head for the rest.
Watch me break it now. Yep, I just broke it. Nice. That's funny. Here, I'll redeem it again. Damn, dude. That's crazy. I'll do it right now. Oh, it's on cooldown. All right, you'll get it later. That was legit, not me this time. I am innocent. It was us. It was all of us. It was collective. Is my mic loud? Is it picking up a lot of noise? How do I sound? How's the audio of my stream right now? Ow. Asking for a friend. Is the stream choppy or is it just me? Are you talking shit about the game? It's probably just you because I'm looking at my stream over here and then my monitor over here and it's pretty smooth. Shit, fuck you. Oh, that's funny. Is it? Actually, dude, it might be a bit loud or something. It's picking up a lot of background noise. I see it like it's constantly like the green instead of off. That's probably because I won't shut the fuck up. Could you be more constructive with your criticism? Alright, cool. Was legit asking. Holy guacamole. Hey, what up? Sama Shat. Shat Sama. Dry-kun! Question. How's my audio right now? Because they're not answering me. Sounds fine to me. I'm not picky. Well, I am. But it... Alright. Audio seems good. Okay. Good. That face is what I look like when this game is in Final Fantasy. Oh, just... Well, it's not Final Fantasy. It's Onimusha. So you're in luck. Ah, it's your lucky night. Also, I'm streaming before 9:30. Quit sucking. You quit sucking. What up, Deadwolf? How you doing, dude? I know an FF when I see one. Well, if it makes you feel better, this one is closer to Final Fantasy Tactics, a game you do like, right? That Resident Evil thing was a one-time event. Yeah, dude, I saw. It's done, right? Tactics fucks. Yeah, it really does. At the Universal Horror Nights or whatever. I saw that, and apparently by the time I knew it was a thing, it was over. So you'll have to watch to see when they do it again. It was one day. One day! You fucking assholes. It's because they know. They know it'd be too awesome. It'd be too cool. 25th only? That's like the day I found out. Or the day after. The 26th. But, you know, it is what it is. What can you do? Let me try the noise gate. Hopefully I sound even better now. Sure, but you can watch the hit show 7 days a week, so it's fine. You know, you're not wrong. I could do that. I could absolutely do that. I won't, though. But yeah, here, let me actually play the game. Sorry. I'm sorry. Alright, new game. Oh, see, that's why I never actually read any of this. Well, I did, but not right now. Long, long ago, deep beneath the cold, dark, cold earth, unbeknownst to those above, there dwelled a vile breed of monster. The Genma. Or nor, not the Genma. Emerging from the ground to stake their thirst for human blood. Slake? A T or an L? Particularly, they built the foundations for an evil civilization. Then, in a mad king's reign, the Genma hordes poured forth in one fell swoop. It is low-key a little hard to read. Let me make this bigger. And leading this brutal, bloodthirsty legion was the Genma King Nobunaga Oda. I'm gonna start RE Requiem tomorrow. Fuck yeah, dude. Damn it, I'll be at the office, but I'll watch when I get home. I hope you like it, dude. It's really fucking good. To build his Genma Empire, Nobunaga ordered his armies to conquer the whole land. It is Paul when we play good games. I see it now. The first place to taste the fury of the Genma hordes was the village of Iga. '25th only. God damn it. It's awful news. At that time, a young man from Iga was racing towards the village. Wish I could fast forward this. No. Oh, can I? Timer? Timer. No. Onimusha Tactics. Episode 1, Genma. The fearless youth. I heard Iga was in danger and rushed. Kraka! Hey, what up, Cash Cow? How you doing, dude? Home to... What's this? It's so silent. Is this the lull before the storm? Or am I too late? Please, let them be alive. How you doing, Cash Cow? A grotesque character. I almost said creature. The boy looks tasty. I'm feeling peckish. Yikes. Goblins. Goblins. Goblins? What an insult. Genma. Okay, got it, boy. Boy. The fearless youth. Oh, Genma. Demons. Yo. Sorry. Onimaru, welcome home. His name's Sendayu. Master. God damn demons! Yeah, Lemon knows. Like a legendary video. These are Nobunaga's reconnaissance party. If we let them go back alive, they'll attack Iga in an instant. Put this on and fight. Onimaru puts on the Oni Gauntlet. How do we fight these monsters? I'll teach you. Tell me what you've learned from your warrior training. Mission, wipe out the enemy. Defeat condition, death of Onimaru! Yeah, I guess I'll learn how to fight. Turn 1. Player phase. Random schizophrenic snarling? You're right, dude. Dude, I love that video. Bless the demon child. First, I'll show you how to use move. Use move to approach or move away from your opponent. Wow. What's that? It's all gone blue. I like when, like, they acknowledge, like, press the action button, you know? The blue area shows where you can move. Duh. This is actually pretty... I'll do some crazy ass body cam videos while walking Juniper. Nice. Dude, those can be kind of addicting. You can go down like a fucking body cam rabbit hole. Press the B button straight after moving to start again. Master, now I attack this Genma, right? That's right, Onimaru. Select attack and press the A button. That's funny. Since Onimaru is armed with a sword, he can only attack an opponent in an adjacent square. Characters armed with a spear or bow or gun can attack over a wider range. However, a character cannot attack an opponent who is positioned too far above or below them. Okay. Hey, it's turned blue again. Shut the fuck up. When you attack, the blue area shows your attack range. In your case, the blue area shows the range of your sword attack. Onimaru. So that means I can attack this Genma? Right. Attack is the basis of fighting. Bruh. Best content on YouTube. It's wild. Yeah. That's funny. Just select the Genma in front of you and press the A button. But I hope everybody's doing well tonight. Tell Junie I said hi. Give Junie some pets for me, yeah? Enemy phase. When your side is finished moving or attacking, the enemy will move or attack. When you and the enemy have both completed one action each. That is called a turn. Remember that. Damn, dude, they're really breaking this down. When player phase is displayed on the screen. Yeah. Yeah, checks out. On both sides, they complete their action. Yeah. Maybe I should have just said no. I mean, at least they had to ask this time, you know? It's like, that's what every game needs, I feel. It's like, have you ever played a fucking video game? Alright. Ouch. Master, it's no good. Are you okay? When that happens, use an herb to restore your vitality. If you run out of vitality, you won't be able to fight. But Master, I don't have any herbs. That's just typical. Here, use mine. Next time, make sure you stock up at the formation screen. Gives Onimaru an herb. Use an herb. Select item. Yeah. Oh, item. Herb. And Onimaru. Phew, that's better. Enemy face. Right. Now you have a chance to Isen. Oh, I do? Isen sometimes appears at the bottom of the menu. Isen is a powerful command to use to counter attack while avoiding an enemy attack. You only get the chance to use Isen under certain conditions. The minimum requirement is that there must be an enemy near your character. Only a character equipped with a sword, spear, or axe can use Isen. If you precede a Isen with any action other than move, the Isen command will be cancelled. Oh, so I can move and then Isen. That's it. Okay, so if I attack, no Isen. That makes sense. It kind of reminds me of like, oh, so that's actually cool how they're incorporating it here. It feels almost like Overwatch in XCOM. And have you guys ever played Rebel Star? Oh, fuck, it's a Game Boy Tactics game. I actually really like that one too. It's basically XCOM on Game Boy. Come on then, Genma. Bring it on, bitch! Do it. Do it. Yo! You thought I was done with that? You thought wrong. Master, what on earth was that? Light. I read that wrong. That was again my soul. It was absorbed by your Oni gauntlet. What happens to the soul it absorbs? The souls you collect will come in useful. It's early days yet. I'll tell you about it when it's time. You see that Star Wars XCOM game coming out? It looks pretty cool. Yeah. What's it called again? That one does look pretty good. I want to play that one for sure. Right. Now we'll use a special skill on the next enemy. Okay. So I select special skill and press the A button, right? That's right. You catch on fast. Special skill. The skills currently available are displayed. It's the same process as the item operation. Select the skill to use and press the A button. Shock. Man, the GameCube D-pad kind of sucks. Zero Company? Star Wars Zero Company? That sounds cool. But yeah, I saw that trailer. I'm down. You know what's funny? I got it for free, and I told myself I wanted to play it because it's from the same company. Developers. Marvel... Fuck. What's the Marvel one called again? Midnight Suns. I want to play that one. Wow, that's awesome. I can't lose with this. Don't get overconfident. Special skills make things easier, but don't you forget, using them will deplete your reserves of energy. SP. Energy? SP? What's that about? Damn, dude. I should have just said no. It's your source of power for using special skills. You must maintain a good supply of it. You use up a certain amount of energy for each skill. As your energy decreases, there will come a point when you can no longer use special skills. Man, they're really dumbing it down. So keep an eye on what energy you have left. Yeah, I see. I'll be careful. Well, you're on your own now. I'm counting on you. Yes, master. Hey. I heard it was solid. Takes a good hook to get me into a turn-based game, though. Yeah, I mean, Marvel's kind of a hook for me because I like Marvel. And I like XCOM. And I think the thing with that one is like, I forgot to pop my back. I'm pretty sure it's got like a card, like a deck building thing, kind of going with it. The Marvel one. Not the Star Wars one. Oh. Let me kill this guy. Actually, can I E-send again? No. Damn, dude. Alright, I'll get used to that. Oh, my... oh, that's what. I was done already. See, I gotta pay attention. My turn was over, and I moved into attack. That's okay. He was gonna move to me and attack anyway, so... We're Gucci. Ain't a thing. Wish I could E-send. Marvel Token Fighter game looks pretty tempting too. I don't really like those like tag fighters. Like not those ones, like the 2D ones. Like Marvel vs. Capcom. Like I don't know, I'm not into those. Just the mechanic. But it looks cool and flashy, you know. So I would give it a shot, but I don't know if I'll buy it day one or something. You know what I mean? But huge roster for a fighting game. And I love the designs and it looks beautiful. Young girl. Onimaru. Oboro. Wow, Onimaru. I saw that. You were great. That big brother of mine is some guy. If you weren't my brother, I could really go for you. What the fuck? Okay. Onimaru. Haha. Same old Oboro. But you've grown since I last saw you. Where is this going? You're not such a little girl anymore. You're a whammon. Teehee, you too. If you weren't my sister. That's where they're going with it. You learned a lot. Not really. It was a strange glove. Master, what exactly is the Oni Gauntlet? Let's talk about it back at the house. The time has come to tell you the truth. You know that your parents died young, and that I raised you, but your parents were not from this village. Long ago, a woman escaped to this house, carrying 2 infants. She gave the children and gauntlet to me, then fell. And died. Oh, damn. Went bleh. Was that our mother? It was. With her final breath, she told me that she was descended from the Oni clan. Oni clan? Oni clan? Listen, these Genma you fought today. One clan fought those Genma for centuries. The Oni clan. I thought Oni were only in fairy tales. Is it true? Was there such a clan? The Oni were finally defeated, but the gauntlet has been preserved by their descendants. It awaits the coming of one who will again confront the Genma. It awaits a brave warrior. The Onimusha! I imagine him talking like that, you know, like the deep, like the whoa, Onimaru, like that, you know. Samanosuke! Anyway, Onimusha. You're of the Oni clan's line. You could be the Onimusha. The Onimusha? Wow, how cool. No, Oboro. I almost said Ouroboros. That's not the point. The Onimusha carries the hopes of all who pray for peace. The only one who can stand against Nobunaga Oda, the Genma King, is you, Onimaru. You may go back and review the previous conference. No, they're conversing enough. The Genma army is at the perimeter. I will do battle. I shall be the Onimusha. Not one of these Genma dogs shall enter their Iga. Count me in too, brother. Yo! They did it! It just shortened. God guide us, Onimaru, Oboro. Onward! And then... yeah. I played this for a few hours, like, 3 years ago. And then this is the save that was on it when I got my cartridge, because I got it used. But let's just go ahead. Override it. We're starting over. I don't remember anything other than it's like attack this game. And I remember getting stuck on a boss. And I think that was like the last thing I did. So we're gonna beat that bitch. Onimaru and Oboro raced to the border, but the Genma had already reached Iga. Episode 2: The Battle for Iga. I want to do the Final Fantasy. You know which one? They do like little high-pitched Wilhelm screams. Nobunaga Oda is like their Hitler or something. Yeah. He's almost always been like portrayed as, I guess, yeah, a conqueror. You know. I don't know much about Japanese history to know if that's a fair statement, but he's always like, yeah, the big bad. You know, it's funny, this game, Onimusha 1, or whichever one I played first, that was where I first heard about Nobunaga, and then later on I was like, oh, this fucker was real? Terrible, they even killed the woman and children. Aww. Not the little BBs. Genma King Nobunaga Oda. Oh, he's purple too. Vengeance is mine. Vengeance is mine! This is your reward, people of Iga, for continuing to defy me. There's no more fitting celebration of my supremacy than Iga drenched in blood. Pretty hardcore. Hold your tongue, Nobunaga. Who the fuck are you guys? Villager 1. We 3 will fight too. Yo! I love it. The Koichi... oh fuck, joined. Okay. We'll show them what Iga folk are made of. Yo! Bamaru joined the band of warriors. In all these centuries, not once has Iga paid for drugs. Not once! Henpeita joined the band of warriors. Brothers, no more Genma shall enter. I like the music. Yo! I'm glad the game is doing it too now. Alright, bet. Choose my unit. We're supposed to be a unit. Oh, can I... equipment? What do we got? Have anything? No. Oh! Nope. Okay, I got shit. Okay. No. Inventory, because I remember it saying something about... Oh, I thought I'd be able to eat, like... oh, because I don't have any herbs. Never mind. I'm tripping. I'm overthinking it. Yo! Do it. Oh. What about the enemy? Death of Onimusha. Or Onimaru. Yo! Can't stop, won't stop. Oh, can I Isen? No, I have to be close. Okay. Oboro. Okay, nothing. She gets nothing. Oh. Wait, options. What options do I have? Message. Oh, let me make that fast. Movement. Fast. I got time for that. Alright, let's accept. That's more like it. Oh, I can see their weapons. Oh, this dude's got a bow. Let me see if I can make him move in range and... Yeah, shoot him. Got that blicky on me. No, okay. Done. None of these guys have skills. No skills. We're skillless. Get him a pawn. Get him a pawn. Jade. Nobunaga. Oh, you fuckers. About to come to you. Oh, let me get the bow boy. Boy. Okay, you're gonna move this way. Hopefully he's within range. Fuck. Lame. And no skill. Alright. This guy, though. This guy. What's my range? Let me get just to within range. I don't want to be, like, next to him and get, like, and pull 2 enemies, you know? Attack. No, skill. Shock. But 1, like, 2 over. Yeah, I gotta get a little close. I'll go here. This should do it. Yeah! Yeah! Oh. She's probably gonna get her ass beat. I'm bringing her right here. This dude's got the spear. He might be able to... No, not yet. But I anticipate Onimusha's gonna get attacked, and I should be within range. Yeah, I guess we're good. Yo! Damn it. You weren't supposed to attack her! Okay. I thought she was gonna get... Oh, what the fuck? Nice. It's Magoichi! What happened? That was a direct hit. Ha 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 ha. Did you think you could kill Nobunaga with lead bullets? Dude, I'm gonna start talking about myself in the third person. Right? Like, do you think Joey... Hi, BB. Hi. With lead bullets? Damn. Rolled up with that gat. Dude, he really did. Who's that man trying to kill Nobunaga? I think it's Magoichi. This fool has made me angry. Nobunaga angry! Hey, Jade, this one's all yours. Do what you like with him. Hear that? Permission from the king himself. Serve him well, and we get to eat all the humans we want. Alright, it's like fucking pizza party movie day, you know? Remember those? Oh, what? The fuck was that? What was that? Okay. Attack! Tight. Oh, an herb was found. Oh, okay. I could move, but I'm standing my ground. Actually, oh, let me see. I don't know yet. I'm not decided. She's got 46 health. Oh, can I heal? Oh, she's no item? That's mean. Wait, why can't... Oh, she already attacked. Oh, I'm dumb. That's okay. I'll save you! Oh, this is Bo. Can I attack? Yeah, I guess I can attack this dude. Oh yeah, did you see Edge Runner Season 2 trailer yet? Oh, no, I saw that was out, but I forgot. I didn't see it yet. Does it look good? Also, I'm glad they're calling it Edge Runner still. I thought it was going to be called something else. No, move over here. See if I can pull an enemy. And then this guy... I'm going to get in the way. Oh, actually, I don't think they'll protect Homegirl. It's fine. Try. It's like she meows at me to pet her, and then I go, and she runs away. Does not make sense. And she's coming back, I think. Oh yeah. Who am I playing? Oh, this guy. And I think he's done too. Oh no, I can move and attack. Yeah, I'm gonna see if I can protect. Oh no, I'm gonna give him. Well, we'll just fuck him up right now. Leveled up. Attack 1, defense 1, HP 8, SP 1. Tight. Okay, I did block these guys. Good. Ha! Too slow. Dude, what is that? Are they getting stronger or something? I don't know what that is. This guy already got hit, so I'm gonna do this. Right in the back. Oh, he's not dead yet? Oh, fuck. That was supposed to kill you. Alright. What about you? I have to move. Alright. Move here. This should be far enough, I think. Yeah. Good. I was hoping to get that alligator-looking motherfucker over there. What's this guy's health? Okay, I'll kill him, and then... You know what I'm gonna do? This. Hopefully this is enough to kill this guy. I mean, it's Trigger, so obviously the animation is incredible. Not much is revealed, obviously. But I think they're doing less of a single interconnected story this time. Less of a single interconnected story this time. Yeah, I don't think it's... My take on their initial announcement was that it's going to be not related to Edge Runners. At least, like, not that story, you know? Is that the case with this? It's like, it's called Edge Runners, but it's like a different story? Is that what you're trying to say? Yeah. Or is it going to be like more like each episode is just like its own self-contained thing? Like little vignettes? Gotti. Did he attack him from up here? No. Bah! Oh, I can't shock anymore. Fuck. Oh. Yeah, she's just gonna hang out here. I'm only doing this so that I can bait him out and then maybe she'll attack. But whatever. And no skills. Damn it. Nice. Dude, 44 is pretty good. How much health does he have left? He's got 52. Okay, here's what's gonna happen. Because I want her to get some experience. You barely touched your dinner, girl. How far can you shoot? Okay, let me just move over a little bit. That's probably like perfect right there. Alright. Oboro, you get the finishing blow. Can't get enough of it. He's like, hurt me, snake. And we got an herb. Fuck yeah. Oh. What do you mean my tactics are only 400? And margin? What does that mean? Easy victory? Onimaru, well fought, lad. But the Gemma have broken through at the other gate. I'm afraid it's no good. Iga has been destroyed. Oh. Iga? Destroyed? Oh, Onimaru. It has to be the work of the devil. The devil! The Gemma army has wiped out Iga and is marching on Koriyama. Save your tears, Oboro. The tragedy that befell Iga must not be repeated. Come what may, we will foil Nobunaga's evil designs. Foil them designs. I'm sorry, Bodo. No more crying. Come on, everyone. After Nobunaga. I forgot the damn word to describe it, but I think it's going to be like that Matrix anime. Oh, so anthology. Is that the word you're looking for? Where a bunch of different little stories about different people? Yeah. Okay, yeah, it's anthology. It'd be cool if there's like a slight connection. Almost like a Pulp Fiction, you know? But I'm cool with like little separate stories too. The battles will be fierce, my friends. Be safe. Episode 2. After a fierce pursuit, Onimaru's party finally caught up with the Genma. Rearguard on the outskirts of Koriyama. But barring their way stood Hideyoshi Habisha. Oh, sorry, Hashiba. Hideyoshi Hashiba. The young chief of Saiga. Nobunaga's right-hand man, Hideyoshi Hashiba. I'm gonna butcher that. It's not even that hard. Hashiba. Hideyoshi, you did well to survive Iga, but this time I will send you to join your friends. Wait, aren't you one of us? Oh, you're that little motherfucker. Mystery man. Where is he? Where's Nobunaga? You again. Don't give up easily, do you? Magoichi Saiga. Yeah, it is Magoichi. Forget about Nobunaga. You'll never hit him with your puny guns. You monkey. Monkey! You gotta say it like Frieza. You dare to laugh at my gun? Right? He's like, say what you want about the village you just destroyed. Don't you fucking talk about my gun. That's basically what he just did. It seems like there is one character who witnesses all the other characters because he has a video camera and is filming everybody else do their own things. Oh, that's cool. That is a very good framing for an anthology. It's very creep show, you know? Or VHS. When it's like they're watching the tapes physically. Like, you know? That's like the... That is the overarching story. It's like the narrative little... You know? It just ties the room together. Magoichi Saiga. That Magoichi? The famous young chief of the Saiga marksmen? How cool. Magoichi, I am Onimaru of Iga. Let's fight together. The Saiga marksmen are famed as mercenaries. Alright, nice humble brag. If you want to hire me, you'll have to pay. Oh! Alright, that's not right. Bitch! You're gonna fight him anyway! And now that we want to join up, we have to pay you? No. No, fuck you. I'm saying no. Fuck you, Magoichi. What's a mercenary? Bitch, is you dumb? It's kind of a cloth maker who... That's a mercer. A mercenary is a soldier who fights for hire. Enough of this prattle. Make up your minds. Will you pay or not? It's fucked up that we're all here about to kick this dude's ass together, and you're like, no, like, I don't need your fucking permission. And don't even think about knocking the price down. Iga and Saiga are both pre-provinces. We may be small, but we fought for freedom. Are we not brothers? It's money that counts in this world. Amen, brother. Alright, you're cool again. So long. Can you believe that guy? Yeah, I can. I'd be like, no, I get it. He's like, dude, I don't have time for this. I have a meeting. Gonzalez? I've left them to my minions. Suck my unit. How about now? Inventory? There we go. Herbs. Okay, cool. Does she get... Do we all have the same pool, or is it like fucking Dragon Quest? Okay, we're good. Because, you know, like in Dragon Quest, like, it's like a JRPG, but instead of, like, the party having a shared, inventory, it's like each character gets their own bag of shit, and I hate it. It's the one thing about Dragon Quest where I'm like, fix your shit. Mission, wipe out the enemy. Yep. Turn 1. Turn uno. Alright, where's the dude with the bow? See if I could pop a shot off early. No. Boo. What up, Barrett? How you doing? Not a fan of tactics games? Bro, I fucking love tactics. Nice. Oh, I can fucking shocking. You guys ever see the Japanese intro for the 90s X-Men series? It's pretty bitchin'. Did you finish 2? Yeah, dude, I finished it that night. That short stream turned into fucking 8.5 hours. It was like 4:30 by the time I was done, bro. And this is the next Onimusha. Fuck, lol. Yeah, because I kept doing this thing where I was like, yeah, I mean, I think I'm almost done. I might as well keep going. Silly me. And this is, in release order, the next Onimusha game. I told you that game was a girthy bitch. It's good, though. And they get longer each time. I'm pretty sure 3 is longer than 2, and I'm pretty sure 4 is longer than 3. Oh, that means Isen, probably. I'm gonna set him up to Isen. That's what that means. I hated the end of 2. I liked the end. I just wish it went on a little bit. It's right after the boss fight, and they're just like, all right, now, yeah, we got him. Ladies and gentlemen, we got him. And then it just fades to black, and I was like, oh. I mean, there is a post-credit, but that's it. I mean, I don't think it's bad. The story ended. What more do you want? Also, that boss was a fucking dog shit. Oh, you didn't like the boss? I thought it was fun. Wait, is this the bow guy? Yeah, this is bow guy. Bro, getting your DT officially, and you have a gun? Oh. No, wait, what do you mean? You can double trigger the entire fucking game. But a gun, not a sword. You have a gun. Oh, I know what you mean, though, when he goes full Oni, but you can kind of do that fucking purple shit throughout the game, but I don't know. I don't think it's a big deal. The gun thing is different. That was a hella change. But fucking dude, Devil May Cry does that. Don't you like Devil May Cry 1? Devil May Cry 1 does the same shit. And then you have a fucking plane. Who am I fighting? Oh yeah. Fuck, they're out of range. Alright, I might as well kill this dude. Yes, and you can use melee attacks with your sword. I mean, I was using melee attacks for 8 hours. Can you use melee attacks with your fucking plane? Okay. That's totally just the escape method. Like, what's his face? Dante and the, oh shit. Oh, damn it. I won't be in position for an Isen. I fucked up. It's okay. I don't know. I get it. You don't like it. It's all good. The plane, LOL. Yeah. Yeah, I'm just fucking around, though. I'm just trying to be funny. Am I done yet? Oh. Oh, there's more. This guy can attack. I forgot about this motherfucker. Motherfuckers act like he forgot about Onimusha. Ah! I thought I could have moved here. God damn it, Bobby. Oh, I can cancel! I didn't realize I could cancel. Oh, and I can't move there. I thought that was a square right here. Like, right... Oh, you can't see my mouse. Alright. Whatever. Whatever. I should have moved... because he can attack from here. Alright, whatever. We're learning. And it's like literally like the third fight. Can I Isen? Or... No, no. It worked! He's still Isened! Dude, I like that little shimmy he did in the air. That was good. Attack 2, defense 2, HP 2, learned defender mode. I enjoyed most of that game, but for them to force you into a new double trigger at the very end, only to let you use a gun when the entire game of franchise is about using swords, because that shit is cool. I mean, I guess you could be a little disappointed, but I wouldn't call it dog shit. I thought the boss fight right before that was kind of cool. When you fight Nobunaga in demon form. It's dog shit, Joey. Nah, you're just kind of facetious. Onimusha, long time no see. That fight is good. Yeah, that's good. And then you have like this little post thing. It's like flying as Dante. Subambe, you're alive. Awful, but the final fight is awful. I don't really call it a fight. I thought it was pretty hype. I don't know. It's not flying like Dante. No, but it's like just as different. I came home when I heard Iga had fallen. Let me join you. We'll avenge the dead together. Yo! I'm glad they're doing it too. Subabe joined the clan of warriors. We're stronger with... I'm gonna sneeze. Tsubame on our team. It's not different, it's not even similar. I don't know. Agree to disagree. Alright, I'm gonna attack this motherfucker right here. Gonzalez. I'm gonna call him Gonzalez. Actually, no, hold on. Let me see if this chick can take these guys out. Oh, she's kind of in a bad spot though. Can she attack? Oh, I guess not. Okay, he's gonna go right here. No, I can just tell we're not gonna convince each other, and it's just gonna turn into playground banter. No, yeah. Nah, I'm saying. That's literally what's gonna turn into. So I'm just like, we're not gonna fight. Fight. No, I don't fight. Barrett just crashes out. Those are our best fights, though. Dude, I remember genuinely pissing you off when I was praising Last of Us 2. An opinion I still have, but liar. Wait, what am I lying about? Oh, that you crash out? You can lie to yourself, but you can't lie to me. We were all in that PlayStation party. Fuck you. Fuck you. The game is so fucking awful. No, that game is a masterpiece. Fuck me. Oh, damn. How much damage was that? Oh, fuck. That was a lot. Oh, shit. They can actually fuck up. Oh, no. Did I just die? Oh, I gotta do that battle again. I forgot to heal. That game is, hey, pour salt in this wound. It'll be fun. Joel had it coming, dude. Joel had it coming. You played the game? I know you're just trying to trigger me. Like 15% of it is a little triggery, but I'm not at work this time. Okay, good. Like, that's not my ultimate thing. I'm speaking my real feelings here. I just know what I'm risking by doing so. Like, I'm not fully trying to piss you off. I think it's funny, but I really do think that game is a masterpiece. And, I agree with a lot of the story decisions. I'm sorry you think that. I'm trying to piss you off. Nice. But also, fuck that game. Nice. Oh, did you not like it either, Paul? Should have been a one and done. No. I want to see where 3 goes. I have to kill Ellie too. Okay, that was me trying to trigger a little bit. I got bored a quarter through the first one. Oh, really? You never beat the first one? That's actually news to me. I thought you did. Oh, you watched me beat it though, didn't you? Yeah, that last one I was a bit like, ah? Ah? Yeah, I watched you justifiably mercy mercy those docs. Bro, I don't understand how you can consider 2 the second masterpiece. It's really bad, Merc. Merc those docs. Justifiably. But it's not bad, dude. It's one of the most beautiful games ever made. Like, graphically, and the gameplay is fucking tight. Like, you can disagree with the story decisions that they made. I'll give you that. But the game itself is fucking sick, dude. Like, the stealth, the action. You're just mad that they killed Joel. I'm sorry. I really am reopening this wound. I'd rather not argue. I see history repeating itself right now. Because it's almost beat for beat the same argument like 6 years ago. I could get over that, honestly. It's mostly the other story beats. Justified crash out on Joel's part. Yeah, dude, honestly, like, I think the whole message about that one is, like, you are the bad guy in someone else's story, you know? So it's just cool seeing how Joel made enemies and how they wanted to come after him, and in a way, Abby deserved revenge just as much as everybody else. Abby deserved to get that. You know what I mean? Now I'm not gonna crash out. Okay, good. You know what's funny? I imagine you're like, fucking, I'm not gonna do what everybody thinks I'm gonna do. But I really do think that's the big takeaway there, you know? So, did I like seeing... I mean, I think it's time we could talk about it now. But did I like seeing that particular death? No. But I understand it, and it really fits in the world. Like, Ellie and Abby both deserved revenge, in my eyes. Oh, this is the bow guy. Okay, you attack. Fuck, I have to move. $18 left. I'll let her do it. Actually, how far can these guys move first? I don't want to block the way. Move. Okay. You could do this and probably attack. Yo! Actually, how much health does this guy have left? Okay, she'll kill him. Gotti. Oh, it's the slide! It's the slide! Hell yeah. Nice. Fucking love it. It's the fucking flying Godzilla kick. Yeah, I hate that game. I say this actually having given a second chance after the second season of the show came out. I replayed it. Fantastic gameplay, and it's one of the best looking games out there, but the story is fucking dog shit, and it turns into an overblown mess. Also, the pacing is super fucked in that game. I'm sorry you feel that way. No, I understand. I do. I liked it, you know? Fuck you. Yeah. He said, fuck you! Aw, fuck. Actually, maybe I shouldn't have gone so far ahead. That game was okay, but I wish the game was more fun and didn't look like ass. Fucking fall. That's pretty good. Also, the fan base of the second are the worst smelling basement dwellers. Nice. Well, I'll have you know, I live in an apartment. An upstairs one. Also, the fan base... Oh, I don't know, I thought there was a new message. They really are. Oh yeah, I read all this and I gotta read it again. I just have to win. Yo! Alright, can I play as her? Oh! Oh, she's doing AI stuff. I can't decide. What's gonna happen now is I'm gonna Isen. Yeah. Because I can't fucking heal for some reason. Okay. And then hopefully I can survive. But I gotta take out this guy first, I think. Because in that way, I'll guarantee that he counters him when he attacks. Does this game have anyone from the first two games in it? It's got Magoichi in it. He was here. But he ran off because I wouldn't pay him money to help. Because he's a mercenary. And a bitch. That's cool, at least. LOL. Yeah. Yeah, I can tell this game's gonna be kind of aight. You know, I don't think it's gonna be anything special. Yo! Nice. Joey. Wait, what? Why are people messaging me? That's funny. Well, it was cool till you said that. We'll see. I just heard that this is a pretty just a basic ass tactics game. Oh, I thought that would work. I picked the wrong guy. No. Oh, I can do this. This will work. Attack. Yeah. I learned dodge. Hell yeah. Oh, hell yeah. I'm gonna hang out here because I'm pretty sure he's gonna maybe not attack Onimaru. Oh, defender mode. Oh, fuck yeah. Just in case. I forgot that these guys have been unlocking skills. I haven't been using them. Watch it not be enough. Right after this, Onimaru's probably gonna have to fuck off for a little bit because I can't heal him right now. Easton! 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 Okay. Did good chump. I know, right?
Am I poisoned?
I don't want to die again. I don't want to die! Yeah, dude, my items are gone. My items, they're broken. Maybe I didn't select them right before. I thought they were in my inventory. Jet Jagger! Jet Jagger! Sorry, it's ending and I can see it. That's funny. I'm really glad I fixed this. I know I keep saying that, but I really hated how it was like blacked out last time because like, and it was blown out too. So I fixed a lot of things. ISO and shutter speed. But yeah. Can I? Oh, I could do minor recovery. Let me skill first. How much recovery, first of all? $88? Not bad. Not bad at all. How much you got left? Oh. Alright, old burrow. Good luck. Oh, wait. Why did I do that? I can't attack right now. My tactics are no good. And then I leveled up. Can I shock? No. I'm like, I'm the shocker. And this is the... Okay. He can attack still. Fuck him up! Get his ass! Get his ass! Get his ass! Arrow of sleep? How much health does he have? 22? I could probably kill him right now. Ooh, bitch. I think I can. Yep. Got he. Herb was found. Oh, fuck yeah, dude. Okay, that's good. And then, just in theory, is it in my inventory now? Makes no fucking sense. Does not make sense. Weird. Yeah, dude. Yeah, I don't get it. Fighting spirit? Oh, dang. How much health does she have? Oh, we're good. 10? Nice, dude. That defense thing actually fucking hella helped right now. Just do it perfect! Yeah, dude. If I play right, I shouldn't need an herb, right? I like where your head's at. Where's your head at? Only babies use them. Well, fucking goo goo gaga, because I know I'm gonna need one at some point. Multiple allies evasive power. Dude, actually, last time I played this, I don't think I was really using their skills. Maybe that's why I got stuck. Because I'm a fucking moron. And then... This is known. Got him. I'm actually kind of liking this. Like, it's pretty fucking basic, but I don't dislike it. Alright, let me see if I can put him to sleep. Yeah. Okay. Put to sleep. Go night night. Go night night. Bro, did you see the final team for Token? Oh, the samurai ones with like Deadpool and Blade and shit, and Ghost Rider, or is there no Loki, or is there another team that I didn't see? Yeah, that looks pretty good. Yeah, like I said, like I'm not typically into those like kind of 2D tag fighters, but it's a fucking awesome lineup, and I love how they look. And the game is flashy as fuck. Like it looks fucking good. So maybe I'll just learn to like it. You know what I mean? What's everybody's health at? Let me get some experience. Let me just waste some shit. So you could heal. Oh, she could use some healing too. Where's she at? Yeah. Even the homeboy went night night. We have never gotten Blade before. Yeah, in a fighting game. No, he's a good fit. He's perfect actually. Also, that Deadpool using the Marvel's Capcom moves. I didn't even notice that. My defensive power has returned. Somehow my defensive power has returned. Who needs experience? Level 3, level 3. Oh, we're all level 3. Oh, well, fuck it. The main character. Actually, what are you at? You 3? Yeah. Have you seen Doofy? Have you seen Doofy? Have you seen Doofy? He has Doom's dive kick. Oh, nice. Oh, so he's pulling movesets from everybody else. I like that actually. That's a really good fit for like a meta thing for him to do from older games. Yeah, I like that. Yas! Yeah! Herb was found. He has a code book of fighting moves. I like that. He's got like a strategy guide or something. Hey, my tactics went up. Your Oni power is awesome, Onimaru. That's his literal lore for that game? Yes, literally. Oh, dude, that's cool. I didn't know that. I like that a lot. But what about these three? They haven't changed, I see. Us? We'd do anything to defeat Nobunaga. That's right. We'd walk through fire. We'd wade through grass. It's a lot easier than... Yeah, exactly. Grass. It's like, yeah, dude, there could be bugs in there. Never mind that, Onimaru. Have you heard that Nobunaga is heading for Shiga-san Castle? Shiga-san. Shiga-san Castle? Now, what's Nobunaga up to now? Damn, dude, I'd be stuttering tonight. Alright, here's what's gonna happen. I'm gonna go save, then I'm gonna go pee-pee. Then I'll be back. I'll take like a quick 5. Also, finally, they gave us Nolan as Deadpool again. He's the best Deadpool voice actor we ever had. I think he might be the only one I've ever heard. Who else has voiced Deadpool in what? Because when I think of that stupid-ass Ultimate Spider-Man cartoon, I think that was Nolan North. Nolan North voiced him in the game. There are a few out there. Oh, okay. And I think Nolan North voiced him in... If he didn't, I actually do like whoever voiced him in Hulk versus Wolverine. Deadpool's in there, and I thought he sounded cool. That might not be Nolan. Also, I gotta change movies while I'm up too. So yeah, I'm gonna take a quick 5. Deadpool voice actor in Rivals is a different person. Oh, see, I actually haven't played since they introduced him. So I didn't know that. But that's cool. But yeah. I'll be right back, okay?
Reboot.
Yeah, I wish it was Nolan.
I knew you would, buddy. Joey. Alright. Like break the TV? Do it. Daddy, I'm sorry!
Alpha team is flying around the forest, situated in
Claire, run. He's a swell guy. Known him a long time. And then I looked, I asked him. You can ask anybody. I asked him, Joey, why do you hate Aquaman 2 so much? And you know what he said? It's okay. And then somebody starts defending it in the audience. He's like, beat the shit out of him. Get him out of here. Let me keep his coat. Oh yeah. I lucked out. Did you drop anything? That's funny.
Be the man now, dog. Sean Connery. No, one of my favorite lines in the whole franchise of 007 is the "That's a Schmidt and Wesson, and you've had your share." He like shoots it in the back twice. Like, my man. Must be dreaming. But this game is less Sean Connery and more hello, baby. Do I make you Randy? I'm in a room full of gold bullion and bearer bonds. Must be worth hundreds of millions.
What the fuck were you drinking? Thank you. Gang. These nuts, gang.
Fat Jason Statham, no!
Sucks about a shotgun ammo, but there'll be more, you know? Wait, what the fuck?
I barely know you, but you seem cool. Here you go. What?
Oh yeah, that's funny. Look, the last time I mentioned my sisters, I was talking about Cyberlycan. I was like, he's such a Chad, I love him so much, I let him date one of my sisters. But only Cyber. But he's taken, so he can't. Without her face, from inside box, scent of mommy, maybe true mother there. Stone box hard, it hurt, steel rope in the way. Can't see mother because 4 stones. Yeah, not only is like half my friends' grammar bad, they also don't use punctuation. So I feel like I have to read their text like this sometimes, not naming names. Still would. Oh god. I'm not sure if he does, but I'm trying to get later prints. No, I did not. Show.
Attack on Titan. Yeah, I still gotta get on that. Oh shit, he's eating her butt. Don't eat my butt.
Shoot him in the dick. Oh, head. Get up here. Let me shoot you in the dick.
Any more tricks up your sleeve?
I will keep them coming.
Man, I am thoroughly enjoying this already, and it's been like 10 seconds. Bitch, who is he? Hey. That's really sus. Sussy Baka. I got my underwear in there.
We're back.
Bitch, I'm about to take your underwear
All right.
off. Open the fucking... Why won't you take me when you need me?
Sure. Oh shit! Why did that scare me? No! Oh, I jumped a little bit. That's pathetic. Did I save? I think I did. Did you play 007 First Light? No, not yet, but I really want to. I think it's on sale right now, isn't it? I don't know. Oh yeah, I don't know either. I'm gonna save just to be safe. I think I did. Dude! What about it? I want to play it though. Dude, all caps. Is it serious? That game is a Joey game. Oh, dude, that's what I like to hear. The Gemma army had moved on to Shinsegae. Friends of Pursuit. The castle's lord, Hisahide Matsunaga, has been cornered beneath the cave. Something. In the cave beneath the castle. Nice. The delay. I was able to read it on my monitored stream. But yeah, dude, I like to hear that. I really want to play that one. Oof. Here, bud. You play the newest Ratchet and Clank, right? Yeah, I did. Give up, Matsunaga. Rip Between Worlds or Rift Apart? Rift Apart? Is that what it's called? Rift Between Worlds. I was thinking about Zelda. Yeah, I think it's Rift Apart. Yeah, it was great. So you know how that game has insane, amazing level transitions, right? Yeah. Like it goes through like Killzone and shit. That we talk about. Horizon. Does that make every PlayStation thing canon now? Oh, nice. Mortal Kombat. Alright, if you hand over the Hirokumo tea kettle, we'll spare your life. Never! There's not another like it. It's my treasure. It's mine! And we'll never part with it. I know the Hirokumo tea kettle is famous. The first few hours of 007 does a very similar thing when it comes to Bond's training. Oh, nice. Yeah, that might be like the next triple A game I get. But what does Nobunaga want with that thing like that? Yeah, I'm really excited to play that. How long did it take you to beat it? And I know you probably platinumed it, you psychopath. Dude, I admire your fucking PlayStation trophy score. Where is Nobunaga? Where is he? Magoichi, you again. He's not here. Damn, he's scared stiff of me. It's almost at least 15 hours? Oh, that's not bad. That's cozy. Hey, that's the Hirokumo tea kettle. That'll fetch a pretty price. I'll take it. I spent over 20 for sure. Nice. Yeah, that means I'll probably... Because I like to be thorough, and I take my time. I don't really rush. Keep your hands off. That belongs to me. There's a lot you can do. Hell yeah. Quiet. It's Nobunaga's... You're not getting it. Yeah. Ah. Better. Alright, now let me check this fucking inventory. Like, what's up with the herbs, dude? Do I have to equip it? No, look. There's 5 herbs here. How... Do I have to equip it? I do have to equip it. Okay. Okay. That's weird, but whatever. Bro, there's one chapter like halfway through, and the game could literally be a Bond movie on its own. Nice. I'm glad you like it. I fucking love James Bond. Hey, let me check my inventory too. I don't know if we've gotten anything better yet. Equipment? No. Okay. I don't think I do. Alright, I didn't get any weapons yet. I know you do, LOL. That's one of the things we have in common in college. Yeah. What's your favorite one? It's hard for me to pick. But I think if I had to pick one Bond movie, it'll probably be Casino Royale. Not fair. Better yet, give me your favorite for each Bond actor. I'll do that for you. But that's easier, right? And even then, there's some bangers with like each of them. Like Sean Connery, dude. Like, I know everybody does either they do Goldfinger or From Russia with Love. I'm a Dr. No guy, dude. He was so cool in there, and it's right before they really started doing like all the over the top gadgety shit. Like that one felt like just a nice little spy movie. I mean, it does go anime at the end. He was, lol. He was so fucking cool. I remember when I first watched Dr. No, and then I saw the other ones, and he just gets campier and campier and campier. But there is something about his intro. It's like, and your name, sir? Bond. James Bond. Like, he never looked so cool in my life. I was like, I get it. I get it. Oh, ad break? Yeah, sorry. I'll wait for you to come back. Blue! Ads. Oh, yeah, I see it. Can I shock him? I'm a shocker. I shock ya. Musad. See, and the game won't let me select a square. I have to select a person because this would. Actually, I'm gonna wait. I'm waiting for the enemies to maybe group up. Possibly. No, I'm not. Because I can do it twice now. I see. One second. I just want to check something real quick. Sorry. For, I'll explain later. I'm just saving, screenshots. It's something I just saw the setup and I was like, oh, I can use this for something. I mean, I'm gonna. Final Fantasy Tactics Advanced looking ass. Oh, yeah. First of all, Final Fantasy Tactics is also good. Alright, done. Also, welcome in, Jay. How you doing? How's work? Oh, I can't fucking... Oh, wait, is this guy... He's the archer, isn't he? No, he's not. God, you fucking dumbass. Can I skill? Defender mode? Not yet. Not yet. Wait. Wait! Where's the bow guy? Bow guy is right here. He's purple. And I think I can attack... Yeah, I can. Oh, no, I just got here. Oh, that's right. Yeah, what's your shift again? Like 10 to 8? My coworker is having like a hell of a time right now. He's on a fucking he's on a cruise right now with his newlywed wife. Congrats to them. And they're at like a pool and they're showing Tron Legacy. I mean Tron Ares. And he said he's just slamming drinks with his wife at the pool watching it and he's like, this movie kind of hits. I think I needed a second viewing. That's what I was fucking telling him. 10 to 6 on this shift. Dang. Shut the fuck up. This game is Onimusha. No, he's saying it's Final Fantasy Tactics looking at. Oh. That's funny. I'm watching Ash vs. Evil Dead. I fucking love Lucy Lawless, man. Oh, dude. And she aged, like, amazingly. Yo, what did you think about the music? I thought the music was great. I also like that they branded it as Nine Inch Nails rather than just Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross, but... She's so hot still. Sorry I'm late. Hey, what up, dude? Xena? Yeah. What up, Zombomb? Yo, what did you think about the music? Yeah, sorry, I thought you were Lemon asking that. Yeah, that soundtrack's awesome. I think Tron music, outside of the first movie, is always great. Just move everybody close. Actually, is there anything this way? Can I flank? Oh, there are enemies over here. Oh, shit. Oh, it's Magoichi, right? Is that Magoichi? Yeah, and then can he go down over here? Nope. Alright. Alright, it's good to know. Now I know. What skills does she have? Oh, nothing. Fine. Fuck, I don't want to talk about that movie. I'm so angry about it still. God, you're fucking angry about everything. Except Lucy Lawless. We can agree on that. Music is for femboys. I listen to Andrew Tate podcasts. You know this. Yeah, I know. I know. It just surprises me every time. What was your opinion on Project Hail Mary? I thought it was a fucking masterpiece. Oh yeah, dude, it was awesome. You know what's funny is I got high with a coworker after like a work dinner thing, and then I was too high to drive, so we were like, oh, let's watch a movie because it was at the same place. And for some reason, I was like, oh, the colors and stuff. We ended up seeing the Mario movie. Big mistake. We should have seen Project Hail Mary. It was terrible. No, you really are just trying to trigger everybody. It's funny. I have every justifiable right to hate Jared Leto. I mean, he's a weirdo IRL. But I will tell you this. He was fucking dope as Skeletor, okay? You can't take that from him. He was amazing as Skeletor. Only thing that could have made it better was my favorite actor, Jared Leto. Oh. Fucking bravo, Paul. I fucking love this. I just finished a movie called Dog Holiday with Michael J. Fox before his Parkinson's really started settling in. Amazing movie. We'll watch it again. Great for. Great. It's time. Is that the one where he's like a cop? Like an actor or something? What's that movie? That's not it, is it? Oh, wait. Cancel. I think she can attack at a range. Can you? No. Alright, move. Doc Holliday. I've never seen that one. You know, one of my favorite Michael J. Fox movies is The Frighteners. It's kind of underrated. It's a Peter Jackson movie nobody talks about. More like Michael J. Fox. No, he's a Beverly Hills plastic surgeon that gets dropped off in a small town in the South and has to learn how to be a better person. Okay, okay. I've never heard of this one, but I'd be willing to watch it. Fuck! I get everybody down here. Get down there, boy! Skill? What do you got? Defender mode? We're gonna defend who I think is gonna get attacked, which is Oboro. Frighteners is amazing, most underrated Jackson joint. Dude, I agree. I think that movie is really underrated. It's a lot of fun, a very unique premise. It's kind of spooky when it wants to be. Everybody fucking hams it up just right, you know. And for the time, I think the effects are amazing. I really enjoy the Frighteners. Yeah, I'm cool with that. It's got the Reanimator in his second best role. Yeah, what? Fuck! Fuck, I know his name. I know his name. No. Jeffrey Combs? Right? That's that fucker's name? Jeffrey Combs? That sounds about right. He was awesome in that movie. Good job. Yeah. No, he's dope. Dude, I kind of want to rewatch the Reanimator movies. I think I heard 1 and 3 are supposed to be like the best ones. And I barely remember them. Ooh. Oh, she's fucked. Anybody excited for Cyberpunk Season 2 Edgerunners? Yeah, dude, I still need to see the trailer. I remember when you told me earlier, I had the tab up. I just forgot to look at it, and then I restarted my computer before stream. But Lemon was also talking about it. 2 over 3, but all 3 are fun. I know it's Gonzalez, but I'm going to call him Gonzalez. I want to be, but the first season is a perfect circle. It is. But it's also its own thing. So I don't know how they're gonna do season 2. Lemon was saying that apparently it's anthology. Like each episode is just a different story, different thing. Probably because they don't want to touch how good season 1 was, you know? So they're like, we're just gonna give you like just dope 20-minute stories instead of, and then I think he said there's a narrative framing where it's like VHS, where like it's a security dude watching the stories. So I think that's a unique take. Also, I didn't realize it was Edge Runner season 2. Like when they announced the project, I thought it was something else. I'm very conflicted about that. We just have to wait and see. We don't know yet. It could be ass. It could be gas. Same. Yeah. I'm cautiously optimistic. Give in. Hand over the tea kettle. Hisahida Matsunaga. No, it's not. Oh, did I die? Wait, did I get a game over? Oh, no. Oops. Oh, so they killed him. Okay. If it wasn't called Edge Runners, I would be a little less worried. Oh, they're probably just capitalizing on the... I'm so excited for more... What's it? Goya's slot? What is that? That's you. You just love sucking the fun out, don't you? Boo this man! No, it looks good. Also, don't you like anime? Trigger makes good shit. Boo. That's you. What? That tea kettle. They say it was made long ago by Shakyamuni. Shakyamuni. Buddha himself. I'm the biggest anime nerd. You probably know, dork. I know. I'm talking to... are you talking to Jay? Because Jay's the one that's being a negative Nancy over here. If it wasn't called Edge Runner... No, I only watch Mexican soap operas. Starting to understand you a little more. Wait, is the movie over? Or is it just starting? Oh, okay. I was like, what the fuck? Are you serious? It was that old? What's your opinion on the One Piece remaster series for Netflix? I don't think it's a remaster. I think it's a new retelling of it. It's like Brotherhood, you know? Full Metal Brotherhood. I've never seen One Piece. And knowing that they cut out all the filler and it's paced better like the manga, I'm actually gonna give it a chance. No, it's a remaster, lol. Is it? Is it say? I thought it was new animation. I thought it was like new dub, new animation and everything. Is it just a re-edit? It's more like DBZ Kai. There's some concerning bits of news. Oh, I didn't realize that. I thought it was new, but yeah, I'd rather watch that. It's a new animation. Yeah, dude, that's what I thought. Reanimated. Yeah, if it's reanimated, that's not a remaster. If anything, it's a remake. But yeah, like Kai. Yeah, Kai and Brotherhood. Well, Kai redubbed and I think edited the show. And I'm pretty sure Full Metal Brotherhood is like a new animation and everything. So I think the new One Piece on Netflix is supposed to be more like that. It's the animation studio doing the same story. Yeah, then it's not a remaster. Kai did some new animation, and reused some. Yeah, that's more like Kai than Brotherhood. I don't know, man. I'm pretty sure it's more like Brotherhood. No. I'm telling you. The thing is, Tori Ichi was not a good animator. Oh, I don't even know who that is. All right, I'm gonna look it up later. There is no episode where they learn to drive. Nice. Oh yeah, tea from that kettle makes you live longer. That's what they say, and Nobunaga hates that kind of thing. They aren't doing One Piece Brotherhood. Let me look this up. I need to see it with my own eyes. Is it the 23? Hold on. They did give Usopp his melanin back though. That's cool. I don't know who that is. Studio Wit. Alright, now you're just speaking French. I don't know dick about One Piece, but I'm pretty sure this is new animation, bro. In February 2027, Netflix is releasing exclusively The One Piece, a brand new modern anime remake of Ichiro Oda's manga produced by the acclaimed Wit Studio. Additionally, the acclaimed live action will restart from the beginning of the manga and retell. Is it new animation or edited? Remake! That's what I've been saying, bitch! You've been fucking being remastered. Remake and remaster do not mean the same thing. Oh, it's a new animation. It's more of an American style. I never said remaster. Yeah, you did. Look up Nightwolf remastered. It's a new animation studio. Or you said reanimated. Oh shit. Go look. I just did. No, bitch. I know, right? Let's see. I reread it and I was like, damn it. Fact checked. Yeah, Zombomb said remaster. And then you said, no, it's a remaster. So you did say it. You did say it. Yeah, he was like, what's your opinion on the One Piece remastered series for Netflix? And he said, no, it's a remaster, lol. Fuck. Yeah! I hope it's great because One Piece is goated, but it doesn't have very much filler. Mostly packing issues of trying to stretch a single chapter in full episode. Yeah! Pacing. Yeah. That's what I heard. That's the biggest sin. Like, I think there is supposed to be like some filler, right? But they stretch it. It's basically Snake Way from Dragon Ball. But the entire show is that. I'll be there in 10 minutes! And it's like 5 episodes later. Maguichi. Bye. What a waste of time. Yeah, it's got big pacing issues, but it's so good. I know, and I'm not going to watch 1,200 episodes of anything. So, I think they're doing the first arc in 6 or 7 episodes. That was an accident. But, that's awesome. I don't blame you. It's so daunting to get into it now, you know? What a waste of time. Do as you like. I'll be on my way. There are like 3 filler arcs and only a few episodes usually, except one of the filler arcs is actually excellent and they should bring it back. That'd be kind of cool if it's so good they're just like, hey, we know it's filler, but you guys like it, so we're adding it. And everybody goes, yeah! So something I heard is that the live action episodes are taking so long to actually make because the actors are aging faster than they could shoot the episodes. So this is why they're doing the anime again, but I could be wrong. I think you might be confusing it with the Last Airbender live action series, because that's something I heard. Because those were actually children, and now they're like 17, you know what I mean? Or like they're older, and they're visibly aged. I'm pretty sure everybody in the One Piece live action, they're like in their early 20s or some shit. Live action anime is so dumb. I heard this one's supposed to be pretty good. People are liking it, at least. Yeah. Oh yeah, they're going to cover a lot in the first season. That's good. It's very good. Yeah, I've been hearing people like it. Attack. Attack! Who else is here? And what's my health at? Oh, I'm good for now, but let me move. You're gonna attack this guy. Hey, live action anime adaptation. So me liking One Piece live action and that being what got me into One Piece has a lot. Oh, that's what got you into One Piece? I thought you had already seen it. Fake weeb! Fake weeb! No. Yay! I've been watching One Piece for 20 years and I refuse to watch that slop. You can't just call everything slop. It's like how everybody calls it like whatever maxing now. It's like, oh dude, like I'm chapstick maxing right now. I'm gonna move this way. Most corporate shit is slop, don't blame me. Most, not all. I want this dude to... Nope. You're gonna do it. I think you can kill him. Yeah, you can. Yeah, you can. Wrong. Jay's in fact... Wait. Wrong. Jay, in fact, can and does call everything slop. Wait, he can't attack? Why not? Why the fuck not? I can't attack in front of me? Can I back up? What if I move here? Oh, I'm the archer. That's why. How far can I reach out to shoot? Okay, I might as well just attack this dude from a distance. OMFEO, not a fake. I actively avoided One Piece like the plague for almost 30 years. Yes, the live action was enjoyable to me, and I said, fuck it, I'll give it a shot, and now I'm a huge One Piece stan. It's an accurate depiction. Sorry, it's actually... Jesus Christ, I'm stuttering. It's an accurate description of most modern media. Hey, the family started to sell the 7 Seas. Could you give me a good place to start to find media? Oh. Actually, I'm probably not the person. I always just throw a VPN on and go to Pirate Bay. I don't even know if that's safe anymore. Oh, attack. Don't listen to this man. Yeah, I don't know. You guys tell me. Educate me. I don't endorse it. They're free people. Like I say, whatever the fuck they want. Yeah, I'm good for now. Nice try, FBI. Abort. Abort. No, don't attack. Move. Hey guys, I just started doing a lot of drugs. Can you put me in a major distributor in your area? Yeah, man. What you gotta do is... Player phase. Let me heal too. You. Who needs it more? Yeah, she does. She just has a smaller health pool. Excuse me. Oh, no. You're gonna hang back. You're my medic right now. Actually, that's not that bad. I'll move you a little bit forward. You. Shit. I thought I leveled up. Who's got range? This guy. Purple. Ah. Alright, I'm gonna move you over here. I think we can take out one of yous. Also, what are my skills? I got none. No skills. Damn it. I thought I can get closer than that. Arnor. No. Alright. Next. You guys are fucked up next turn. Oh, I could probably be doing some abilities. Since I can't attack. That would be a smart thing to do. Fighting spirit. Ooh. No, don't touch her. Run, bitch. I'm out, bud. Made it home. I'll hit you up tomorrow. And gotta head out to San Diego at 5 a.m. Damn, dude. We'll have a safe trip. You have a fantastic evening. Thank you for hanging out. Good night, boo. Alright, just trying to see. Alright, you got more health. I can attack then move, right? I think I can. Because I think Final Fantasy... Nah, yeah, you should be able to move. Yeah. Tight. Oh, I can still heal you. $86. Nice. And we're gonna move a little. Actually, no. Yeah, you're gonna move here. No, I'm not. I just realized I can't attack. We're gonna move right here. And what are your skills? Dodge. Can't do it. Can't do it. Dope. What? Bitch. It's like I'm playing XCOM right now. Like 99% chance for a headshot. Miss. Like, fuck. Those are the worst. Nope, move. What's this guy's health? 43. Alright, they're both gonna attack this turn. But next turn, they're dead. Survive. No shit. Gonzalez is almost here. My evasive power returned. I haven't been doing shit. Alright, 43. Alright. Wish me luck. Ah, motherfucker! Ooh. Got him. Now, when I level up, do I heal? Is it one of those games? No. Fuck. Alright. I might have to either have somebody heal me. Could I use... Oh, see, they don't have the item. You have an item. I'm just wondering if... Do they select... Okay, I could. I have to get next to him, though. Alright. Move. Item. Herb to him. Eat the nom-nom. Alright, done. That was actually a nice chunk. Hell yeah. I think I'll hang out here. And then you attack him. And kill him. Keep leveling up, my little BBs. Please be within range. He's not. Damn. Fuck! Look how all these goobers do. Alright, I hope he doesn't have a fucking area of attack. Damn, I'm gonna have to play a boring ass game like this soon. What the fuck? Oh, Final Fantasy Tactics? Oh, I see what you're saying. Damn, I'm gonna have to play a boring ass game like this soon with Final Fantasy Tactics. Final Fantasy Tactics is better. I think you'll like Final Fantasy Tactics. Every turn is so slow. I know. I'm also like chit-chatting and reading and... But Tactics is good. I think you'll like it. I hope you do, at least. If you don't, no, fuck it. Alright, go to sleep. Go to sleep. Go night-night. Yeah. Go night-night. Oh, wrong person. I'll save you for last. That's not an exaggeration either. Tactics is one of the best Final Fantasy games ever made. Yeah, I agree. It's damn good, brother. Dang, it's like unfair when they're asleep. Critical? Yas. And we found herb. Sendayu. I've heard about the Hirakumo tea kettle. Master, did Nobunaga start this battle simply to destroy that kettle? In truth, it is said that when a wise general holds the kettle and governs properly, peace will reign across the land. And that is what Nobunaga feared? That's right. He was afraid that people would place hope in that kettle. Because when people have hope, they have strength. Nobunaga. He's plotting something unfathomable, something diabolical. I feel it in my bones, in my plums. Nobunaga is heading for Saiga next. Magoichi's place. We can't let them suffer the fate of Iga. Time to go after Nobunaga! Nobunaga Oda. Oh, bro, look out. Yo. Counterpoint. I had hoped Joey would play a good game, and it's the hope that kills you. Yeah, give me about what 15 hours of this, and then I'll play a good game, which is Onimusha 3. No, I have a bad game after this one. After this is supposed to be the bad one. It's Blade Warriors. It's like a weird, stupid Smash Brothers beat 'em up. Thank you, brother. What is it? Yeah, what is it? They picked up a strange gem and a mysterious note. Ah, that looks like a Genma stone. Genma stone? You may find them when you kill Genma. That's why they're called Genma stones. Oh, that makes sense. See, I've got one too. He just flashes them. It's a different color. Hey, I love those emotes. They say there are 9 types altogether. What do the Genma use them for? They were once items, weapons, and armor. The Genma transform them and carry them around like this to stop humans from stealing and using them. What? Is a weapon? Yes, but you can't use it on its own. To restore the original item, you must combine 2 or more stones. You use the riddle to combine the stones? So how do you do it? You use the Oni Gauntlet. That's how you combine Genma stones to make an item. With the Oni Gauntlet? Brother, let's try it. Oh, hell yeah. Sorry. But if you try to mix them willy-nilly, that's what happens. That's what happens. Master, come on. What are we going to do? To combine the stones safely. And he says, what are we gonna, or, yeah, what do we have to do? But I just felt like quoting that. They must be placed in exactly the right combination by one descending from Oni using the Oni gauntlet. That right combination? It's written in the note you found. That note contains a recipe used to combine stones. Kill the Genma and get as many stones and notes as you can. They will be of great help to you in defeating Nobunaga. This is exciting. It's like a treasure hunt. A treasure hunt? Onimaru, let me see that note. Yes. Indeed. This is the recipe for making a spirit sword. Ooh, it looks like our stones will combine. I'll get it right this time. You can do it, bro. He kills the old man by accident. Onimaru makes the spirit sword. Yo! That's cool. I'll make all sorts of items from now on. That's the spirit. Having crushed the resistance at Iga, Nobunaga spurred his Genma hordes onward. His next objective, to crush another province which continued to resist his will. The province of Saiga. Hideyoshi! The destruction of Saiga will be a lesson. They'll see how futile it is to oppose Nobunaga. Ha 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 ha! These poor fools will dream of peace. Oh, who dream of peace? I will destroy their futile hopes. Gonzalez! Destroy Saga. Leave not a thing standing. Magoichi of Saiga dared to shoot at me? He shot at me! Show no mercy. Fill his beloved Saiga with blood and screams. Women and children out. Men stay here and fight. Come on, Genma. If you're coming, you have me to deal with now. We're with you, Magoichi. You again. Now you're going to help the mercenaries? You got it wrong. Wait, you got it the wrong way around. We're not paying. Iga and Saiga are allies, you idiot. Baga! You work for nothing. You must be mad. You work for nothing? You must be mad. We all go a little mad sometimes. What do they... Okay. Who's your unit? Suck my unit. Alright. Who's the lowest level? Honestly, this bitch. Level 2! Oh yeah, you're coming for sure. Can I give you an herb? I can. Can I give you an herb? You already got one, right? Oh, okay, tight. You don't need one. You have one, okay. And then... So, you, because I want you to level up. You're coming with me. You, because you heal. Bombar's level 4. You're level 4. Oh, I can bring them all. I don't know why. It's 6. Okay, yeah. Sorry. I don't know why I thought I was down 1 because we had Magoichi with us. Silly me. How about the enemy? Oh, Jay, you there? Did I tell you I beat A Link to the Past finally? It was cool. Yeah, I finally beat Link to the Past. I think I told you in your chat, but it's still fresh. It was Saturday. For the first time? Yeah, that was my first time beating it. pretty good. I'm gonna get her close. Congrats, man. It's one of my favorite Zelda games. More like A Link to the Ass. That would actually be like a dope like porn parody name. Yeah, I think it's like a lot of people's favorite. Is your favorite Ocarina of Time? As of right now, even though I haven't beat it yet, I think my favorite is Twilight Princess. Fuck. Let's see if I can move somebody closer. Yeah. Twilight Incest? My favorite is Wand of Gamelon. Nice. And my favorite is Ocarina. Dick. Majora's Gimp Mask. Twilight Incest. Do Breath of the Wild. Do that one. Skill? Yeah, I guess we can all just... That works. I'm happy with this. JK, my favorite is Link's crossbow training. Was that one like free, or did it come with Twilight Princess or something? I forget what that one's shtick was. I think he's out of range. Yeah. Oh, I thought Jade was his name. That's just the name of this type of demon. Oof, getting close. What are you doing? Double thrust? No, not double. Not two of them. Ah. Fucking... What's your health? Okay, yeah. I got you. I got you, motherfucker. Maybe not. I honestly don't remember how crossbow training came out. I think it came out alongside the wit training. Wii Fit training. I can see that. I don't know for sure. But I fucks with it heavy. I liked crossbow training. LOL, it was fun. I never played it. I'm glad you liked it. Oof. Alright, alright, here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna move here. Hope for the best. Because I don't think I can attack. I should actually. Yeah, I can. I can. I can't. That's dumb. For real? Alright. $14. It was just Wii Archery. Yeah, I know what it is. I never played it. Can he attack if he's right here? No. Alright. Maybe I can steal some protection though. Skill? Defender mode? Oh! I should actually do this. Because she's just a wee little baby. Oh, I don't have any MP. Well, there's your problem. Alright. Hey, leveled up. Alright, who else? Who's left? Who's next? What's his weapon? Okay, I can hopefully kill this guy. I think if I move here, I can poke him. I poke you. Got him! Hikoichi. Fighting spirit. Oh boy. Dude, not double, not two of them. Oh dude, he might die right now actually. If homeboy targets him? Okay. Ooh, but there's like one more enemy here. He could take a lot of damage. So can fucking homegirl. Oboro. Yep, she's down. Hey, don't cry. I'll be stronger. I did get her cornered. I shouldn't have gone that way. Stupid ass. Now, who you shooting, Magoichi? That guy? That's probably a good call. Nah, that might have been a waste. Because he had, like, no health left, but, you know, whatever. Hey, I got a Gamma Stone. Oh, these guys are actually pretty tough. Ooh, wait. Do I have enough? Yeah, I do. Alright, you guys are gonna get zapped. That's a pretty decent chunk. I'm gonna hang out there. And then archery guy. Who you attacking? Oh, you can't attack any of these guys. Who's weaker? Yeah. Oh, I can attack. I was looking where I move. Silly Billy. Please kill him, please kill him, please kill him. Yeah. Gemma Stone, baby. Yeah, you're done too. No skills yet, still? Whack. I can't use an item and attack, can I? No. I can run away though, like a little bitch. Oh boy, this might hurt. No. No, she's gonna die next. Probably, I think. Okay. I mean, she can still die. Yeah, that basic power didn't do shit. Fucking assholes. Alright, how do you miss a gunshot? Who's weaker? I feel like she could probably kill this dude. And then run away. Bad aim? Fair. You're not wrong. No, no, no! Fuck, I hit done. I hit done. I was supposed to hit move. Oh, no. Well, she did. I might have to redo this level. I don't want to waste it, but I gotta kill somebody. Also, what's this dude's... Oh, he's fucking cool. What skills do I have? I have defender mode, but she's gonna be... They're gonna focus fire on her. That bitch is dead. Unless... you find a way to quickly kill this dude. Oh, that little fucker up too. Damn it. Why? Oh shit, he's gonna die too. Oh, I should move. Oh boy. Hopefully that's enough. It's not. Oh fuck. This guy could do it. Oh wait, what are your skills? Also, wait, why am I tripping? I have an herb. It was worth it. Oh, I can still attack this guy. If I go right here, definitely bait in for an attack. I can't do my skill, right? No. That's it. Ah! No, we'll win. Probably. But we will suffer losses. I'm trying to block Homegirl from it, but he could have moved. Probably should have moved. Yeah, she did. No, she's alive. And then that other guy's blocked right there. Gonzalez? Yeah. Stay where you're at, Gonzalez. Nobody fucking move! That's what I'm talking about. Sickle? Spear? Hell yeah, guys. Let's fucking go. And I got an herb. I think we could fuck this guy up in a turn. Maybe, hopefully. We'll see. No, you stay here. You stay there! Got 50 health. She can at least... I don't think he'll kill her in one, so she'll at least take a swipe at this motherfucker. Ooh, that's not good. Alright, I was actually really counting on that. Oh! Okay. Alright. We're gonna change the plans. Hey Barrett, you there? What are you playing, boo? Oh shit! I started at Final Fantasy 7 again. I'm trying for a perfect file, so grinding Gil in Haunted Train Yard. Oh, we're playing the remake? No, OG? Oh, nice! I still need to finish my OG playthrough. When the remakes came out, I told myself I wouldn't play the remake until I replay it, and I haven't finished my replay. I'm like a 2-year fucking playthrough. Because that was when I started it. But I just wanted it more fresh in my mind. Let's see, I'm gonna try... who will do the least amount of damage? Attack, because I want her to get the finishing blow. Running for the money to get 99 iron bangles. Oh, what do iron bangles do again? I know their equipment, but what's the perk? Is it just defense? There's a trick you're doing. What is it? It's like an exploit, right? Like they prevent status. No, that's remedy. They prevent status infections, afflictions, some shit. It's probably a long quest. Oh, okay, think about something else then. All right, girl, you better do 20 to get the ultimate gear at the end of the game. Okay, nice. Level up. Level up! Thunderstrike! She got something! Alright. My survival is not great. We lost Ouroboros, or whatever her name is. Oboro. Oboro! Thank you, Magoichi. Look out! Magoichi, no! What are you doing? Okay. He's gonna die from that arrow, isn't he? It's gonna be like a story arrow, not a... Magoichi! Oh, Magoichi. Thank God. Woman of Saiga. My treasure. Dying. He's not dead yet. He's not dead. He's dying. Magoichi's mother escaped to the village. She gave birth to Magoichi and then died. Just like us. Whenever he was hungry and cried for milk, we mothers took it in turns to nurse him. Magoichi was child to all mothers of Saiga. I imagine he's like Homelander. He just has like a fucking... like a titty milk fetish. In time, he grew up and became Saiga's chief. He fought for hire across the land and sent the money to us. It was his way of thanking the women of Saiga. Now I see. If only he had lived, we could have become good friends. A voice is heard calling, Onimaru! Onimaru! Oh, what? Who's that? Who this is? It is I, the White Tiger Spirit. The White Tiger Spirit? The White Tiger Spirit? If you want to revive Magoichi, take this jewel in which I reside, through the gates of hell. Did you say hell? Itchy double hockey sticks? You will find the entrance to, what do they call it in Dragon Ball? Home for Infinite Losers in Hogan Temple. Hongan. In the province of Setsu! Go there. Onimaru took the White Tiger Jewel. Home for Infinite Losers? It's HFIL, right? Or is it HIFL? No, because all they did was scribble the part that made a lowercase l. So yeah, it's HFIL. Because it's hell, and they just... You know, like when they turned fucking Master Roshi's beer into fizzy orange juice? To bring Magoichi back. HFIL. Yeah, LOL. Yeah. Onimaru. Oh, Master. What's so urgent? You have souls stored in the Oni Gauntlet. So now's a good time to tell you before you set off for hell about how to enhance your weapons and armor. Great. I'm gonna need strong weapons and protection in hell. Not everything can be enhanced. Only some weapons and armor can be made more powerful. First, remember that weapons and armor are enhanced in stages. Each time you inject a set amount of soul into the equipment, you raise the power to the next level. The item's power and effect increases with each level. With certain weapons, special skills are also enhanced. Oh, nice. Even special skills? So I just gather lots of souls and keep on enhancing? Enhance? 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 It's not that simple. There's a limit to how much you can enhance. You can't just keep adding power endlessly. Using an enhanced special skill also uses up more energy. So don't enhance in accordance with your own power level. you'll use up all your energy. You'll be unable to control your weapon. Ugh, ads. Yeah. So I look at how much strength I have and then add power to an appropriate level? Yes. Provided you can handle the equipment. You mustn't neglect your training. Phew, sounds like hard work. This affects you too, Soboro. The souls Onimaru collects in the Oni Gauntlet can also be used to enhance the equipment of his comrades. Oh, really? Hey, bruv! Make my armor prettier, will you? Something with a frill would be nice. Just kidding. No, you weren't. Anyway, enhancing your equipment is the quickest way to defeat Nobunaga! Collect souls and raise your own power and that of your comrades. Got it. And now, for hell. No. I want to enhance my shit. Let me save. Where do I enhance? Moving me automatically. This is actually pretty linear. On the advice of the White Tiger Spirit, Onimaru and friends set off for Hungan Temple. As the group of warriors approach the river Kizu, the river Kizu. Yo! Kind of like the battle music. It's the only music in the game, apparently, but I like it. The strange-looking man. Monsters! I'm not wasting time. I'm stacking stones as a memorial. 1. The stone is for your dad. 2. The stone is for your mom. 3. And this stone is... It's so sad. Don't you agree? Right. Let's cheer things up. This is my grand finale. Esend. Hell yeah, dude. Strange looking man. Free. See that? Did you hear it? Genma slash. Pretty impressive, eh? Even if I do say so myself. What an outrageous outfit. Do you think he looks like a kabuki man? They're all the talk in the city. Kabuki man? They're just weirdos. They're the ones that go, yo! Right? What? Who are you? Impressed by my kabuki technique? Come and get a closer look. Uh-oh. Hey. You lot. Don't stand there looking stupid. Let's fight. Yeah, let's go. I suppose we should help. Let's go. Alright, I'll let the archer and homeboy with the tick stay, and everybody else will go up and help. Oh, let me make sure everybody has herbs still. Oh, you don't need 2 herbs. I think 1 is good, actually. Each, if I can. Have you beaten this before? No, I have not. Obero doesn't really need one, but maybe in case she's out of SP, then I can heal. Oh wait, short sword? No, I got a new weapon. I got the fucking spirit sword. Plus 20. Yo. Yeah, you get 2. Get 2, bruv. And then ninjas wear. Ninjas wear what? No, I'm just kidding. Stupid. Select. And start. Have you beaten this before? Oh, dude, he's doing the fucking... all that shit. Nice. Oh, nope. Okay, you're gonna go this way. And then you're gonna help him. And skill? Dodge? I fucked. Actually, let me do. Oh, yeah, I can do a skill and then move. Okay. Mafia, no man. I told you I only played 1-2 for the first time recently. Oh yeah, you did. My bad. Oh, I should have actually powered us down there. Since we're gonna be fighting solo. Oh, he leveled up! Oh yeah, I ain't tripping now. I still think you should try to set up an emulator so you can play, and you're gonna go down here too, actually. 3 and 4. Oh wow, I do get an ability. Okay, I'll make it wait for them to get closer. What's with my stutter today? Jesus. I would love to do that if I knew how. If I send you a YouTube video, I think you can do it. It's pretty easy. I believe in you. I wish Onimusha was down there so I can zap all 3 of them. Wait, where's he going? Why are you running away, pussy? I thought you were gonna fight. Wait, am I supposed to attack him? No. Okay. Shock. Love it. You're gonna stay. Multiple enemies. Is it like in a... Oh, okay. I do have to move though. I'm gonna move right here. And then skill. Oh fuck. What does this look like? Oh, a lot of lightning. Yeah, all you need to do is look up PCSX2 tutorial. And then you're golden. Nope. This one. And a critical. Fuck! I should have shot the other dude then. Got an herb, baby. What's his skill again? Defender mode? How far are they? I might want to do a little zigzag. No, we're good. We're fine. Oh, only because she keeps fucking dying. What do your... Oh, you just... Yeah, you have minor recovery. Critical. Nah. Alright. Your turn. thrust. Oof. She's okay. Oh, maybe not. Okay. What? Oh, she can E-send. Okay, that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna heal her in a minute, and then she's gonna E-send somebody. Ooh. Alright. Let me see if I can... How far can she move? Not that far. Alright, here's what's gonna happen. Probably gonna die. But it's okay. Or at least this way... Oh, I can't move down there. Can anybody reach? Alright. Gonna meet you halfway, okay? Can this guy, go here? Yes, he can. Nope, nope, nope. You're gonna move there. And... No, you're not done. Okay, I have to go in a certain order. My bad. Move. Here. Esen. No, Esen, not item. And then you're gonna go up here. Skill. No. Item. Herb. And hopefully they attack you. And then you can get Esend. That's gonna kill this guy for sure. Ooh, hell yeah. Okay. Yep. Perfect. Oh, I could just fucking... Oh, dude, now you tell me. I could just cycle through? I didn't know that. Alright, which one of you is weaker? Alright, you. And then I'm gonna move. I'm gonna skedaddle. It'd be cool if I could stab through two of them. You know? Maybe that's a skill I can get. I'm gonna hang out right here. Oh, I'm skilled. She can only do it once. Damn it. Alright, move. Attack! Oh, he dead. Tight. Two Gemma stones and herb and combat armor. Shit. Can I attack him here? I can. And you know what I'm gonna do? You go night night. You go fucking night night. Oh, killed him. Oh no. Yep. Bro, a day and a half. What? X-Men? Oh! 97? I didn't realize it was out so soon. Fuck, man. Really? Dude, I had no idea what you're talking about. I was like, yeah, I like the X-Men too. What are you talking about? Yes. Nice, dude. I had no idea. I didn't realize it was out so soon. Hell yeah, dude. That's good news. Right on, brother. Alright, Isen. Yeah! Do it. Do it. Why didn't she Isen? She should have Isened. Did I not select it? I moved and then I picked Isen. The first? Okay, that's good to know. I'm upset. All right, whatever. Kabuki, why are you running? You a kapusi. All right. Well, that's lame. Can I Easton again? No. Are you almost dead? Yeah. I'm gonna double team him. Yeah. Yeah. Trick. Yeah. Yeah, dude, X-Men 97 is some of the coolest Marvel we've ever gotten. I fucking love that show. Wait, is this the arrow guy? Okay. Might be able to kill this dude. Ooh. Yep. And I think this guy's stronger. Actually, I'm not entirely sure. Can this dude move close enough? Probably not. Oh, damn, that'd be dope. Reading some Feral Wolverine? Yeah. It's some of the best shit we've ever gotten, and I'm so fucking excited for season 2. Same, dude. It's gonna be good. It's gonna be good. Watch it suck. No, I'm pretty happy. I'm looking forward to it. Thank you for reminding me. I honestly didn't know the release date. It's so soon. No problem. You know what? I was trying to be cool and I pulled those out of my ear. I got you, man. Hell yeah. Dude, that sword? Why was I ever using spells? I should have just been using my sword, man. That shit... Well, I guess it could spread out damage, but... Dude, that did a lot of damage. Fighting Spirit. I could take it. Ya put. You took the fucking spot, dude. I was gonna try to... You bitch. Can you attack if he's right here? No. Arrow guy. He could do it. Oh, where's Arrow guy? Wait. Oh, I confused people. Oops. That was Arrow guy. I need to slow down. Oh yeah, he's dead. I forgot. Yeah, I just fucking 90 damage. I'm just used to like jumping people without realizing how fucking strong I really am. I didn't know my own strength. Easy victory. Damn right it was. I am Guyver. Hey, Onimusha! I saw that. You people, what do you mean you people, are no ordinary folk? Where are you headed? To the realm of Yama, the king of hell. To hell? Oh yes, very funny. Don't believe us? Come see for yourself. No thanks. My life is a living hell anyways. With women and money troubles, it's already hell. Let's get out of here. Leave this fool alone. Man, I wish I could get some new Guyver. We can get some new Guyver? Yeah, that'd be dope. Like, make a new movie. Or a new anime would be cool. Because what, the last thing we ever got was fucking buy boosted armor? In like 2004? Whatever year that was. You're right. Hey, hold on. So just where is this hell? There's no point in telling you if you're not coming with us. Either honestly would be awesome, and yeah. Good old tokusatsus, you know? Not coming with us, and it's gory. I fucking love how bloody Guyver is. Come on, let's go. There are all sorts of nasty, scary Oni in hell, you know? You'll all be killed straight away. Take me with you. Fucking dumbass. Kabuki joined the Band of Warriors. That show was awesome. Ends without actually ending, though. Yeah, I don't remember how Bioblister Armor ended. It doesn't? Because I think even... I don't even think the manga finished. Right? I think the manga is left incomplete. What a weirdo. I don't know, honestly. No, I think... I might be tripping, but I think that's the case. I'll have to check into it. Yeah. You know what's cool? I have the original OVA on VHS. I can put that on if you want. But some of them are unopened, so... I don't know. Dope. Yeah. So I think... Yeah. Fuck yeah, man. Yeah. It's either that or like Aliens, Terminator 2, or what was the other movie? I was thinking Deep Blue Sea. But actually, I've been wanting... So... After Onimusha, I'm gonna do like some random one-offs. I kind of want to do Maneater again. Have you ever played Maneater? I'm gonna put fucking Deep Blue Sea and Jaws on. The best shark movies ever. Well, if you want to. Don't wait to open shit. You don't have to. I don't even know if it has any value. Maybe one day it will. But I know some of them are open, so I'll probably put those on. I think the only reason they're not on is that it's one episode per VHS. So it's like 20 minutes and I have to get up and change it again. So maybe not. Maybe another day. But yeah, dude, have you played Maneater? Damn, lol. Yeah. I got some Speed Racer. Dude, anime on VHS hits so fucking hard. Did I save? I think I did. I'm not entirely sure. I be yapping, dude. Yeah, I saved. I remember seeing this. But what I'm gonna do right now, a little bit, see more of it than I played. Nice. Well, after my Onimusha marathon, it's on my list. It's not very long. I could probably finish it in like 2 or 3 streams. Probably 3. But be right back.
I'm into this. Reboot. Reboot! You remember that reference? I knew you would, buddy. Joey. Nice. Did Frank get first? Of course he did. He's like the best one, which is cool. So, that party was a blast because I did amazing. Like, I was undefeated until the end. Because we had 2 brackets, right? Literally, everybody I fought, I sent them to the loser bracket. And then Frank, I fought him like halfway through, sent him to the losers bracket. And I was surprised because like Frank's good. Like fucking Scorpion himself, he just climbed his way out of the nether realm and got his revenge. And player, run.
He's a swell guy. Known him a long time. And then I looked, I asked him. You can ask anybody. I asked him, Joey, why do you hate Aquaman 2 so much? And you know what he said? It's okay. And then somebody starts defending in the audience. He's like, beat the shit out of him. Get him out of here. Let me keep his coat.
Save my daughter.
Bleh.
And tell her I'm sorry I wasn't better.
Tell you're a bitch. It's supposed to be super scary. Oh wow. Dude, she's like fart. Attack on Titan. Yeah, I still gotta get on that. Oh shit, he's eating her butt. He's eating her butt. Don't eat my butt. Oh.
He's coming out of the glory hole.
Get back in your glory hole, chicken.
The cock is going in the glory hole.
In Soviet Russia, cock beats you.
Yeah, beat his ass. Oh, glory hole.
He's in Zordon, he's coming out of some sort of intergalactic glory hole.
Shut the fuck up.
Fuck out of here. Hell yeah.
Play 007. Yeah, I might do that.
That's funny.
I like to open put it in check. I'm a bit creeped out.
Ah.
Oh, wow.
Dude, I'm actually like, I'm hungry, but I know I shouldn't eat late. Onimaru's party arrived at Hungan Temple on their quest to resurrect Magoichi. They paused before the gates of hell and stepped through. Yo! Keeper of the gates of hell. So, this is hell? I never dreamed I'd see it before I died. A deep, majestic voice. Ho, 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 ho. Damn it. Let's keep getting smudgy. I'm getting smudgy. Wait, what is he saying? I can't read that. Hear me! You stand at the entrance to hell. I am Yama, keeper of the gates of hell. Would that be the same Yama they say pulls out the tongues of people who lie? Ouroboros, you're in trouble. Oboro. Ouroboros. Hey, I don't tell lies. That's a lie. Rips your tongue out right here. I would not take the tongue of my kin. Kin? Me? I too am a descendant from the Oni clan. Oh, long ago when the Oni clan was defeated by the Genma, I hid down here. In time, I became known as the Oni of Hell. Wow, that's some fate. Hey, pussy. In those days, others fought alongside the Oni clan. They were the four sages: the white tiger, the phoenix, the dragon, and the tortoise. The four sages? When the four sages lost to the Genma, they were transformed into jewels. Got these jewels for you. You want these jewels? What the fucking line is? I hate that movie. But anyway, they will remain dormant until the Oni clan rises again. Jewels? Jewels? So the white tiger we heard in Saiga is one of these? Oh. Yes, for generations, the Saiga clan has been custodian of the white tiger jewel. The white tiger's destiny rests upon Magoichi's shoulders. That destiny is to fight with the Oni clan against the Genma. So that's it? But how do we bring Magoichi back to life? I like how the bad guy is just telling me everything I want to know. You must demonstrate your power, show the potential to fulfill the Oni clan's mission, and Magoichi shall live. Oni from hell, come forth. He's not a bad guy. He's just testing me. It's a trial, if you will. Trial of Oni. There's a lot of... Okay. How many can I have? Because I know who I'm not bringing with me if I can't. It's going to be you, Hikochiya. Yes! I can bring more. Okay, cool, cool. You get a herb. You get a herb. Oh. Alright, cool. You only need 2, fatty. When can I enhance? Equipment? Great sword? Enhance. Next level. Cool! It's just like, yeah, nice. God of Wind. I can enhance my abilities. Oh, I have more? Oh, ninja sword. Who else can equip that? Ana, equip, ninja sword. So, 25. Okay, yeah, you're kind of at a lower thing. And you don't die as much, so you get that. Oh! Because I didn't know that some of us even had... Oh, wait, is short sword better? No. Kimono? No. I did get a new spear. That's right. Can I equip another short sword? That'd be kind of cool. Yeah. Alright. Cool. I will accept your unit. Wipe out the enemy. Death of Onimaru. Shit. That's fucking insane. Damn girl, you wanna fucking level up? Actually, who can you reach? Yeah. My little BB Oboro. Damn, bruh. Damn, you're still not leveled up? Fuck, girl. Okay. See if I can start doing poke damage. Oh, they can walk around, though. That's fine. That's not fine. Let me back up. Go further. No, I can't. Oh, shit. Well, I could do this. I just want to make sure I attack somebody, you know? I'm going to put you to sleep. Go night-night. Go night-night! Fuck! Damn it. Actually, she can attack multiple enemies. No. Oh, they have to be next to each other. Fucking bitches. Well, I can move and attack this guy, though. I'm only backing him because I was like, I'm gonna get on this side, so I'm less likely to get, like, too bombarded, you know? Because she's gonna get multiple attacks. Damn it, I wish he was night-night. I'm a little sad about that. No special skill for you? Fine. And you. Sorry. You can wait right here. I'm gonna get closer and I'm gonna give her defend, because she's gonna get attacked. She's going to get attacked. Survive! Nice dodge. Nice dodge. Great swing. Ooh. See, these are Oni that use clubs. Great swing. Robert Gucci. It's fine. Shit, man. Fucking good shit right there. What? Oh shit! Nice. Good job, bruh. Bambadu! What's your skill again? Oh, you heal? Oh, actually, I might use you. I mean, it's only down 20, but, you know, that adds up. Especially when you're surrounded. Oh, well, in her defense, she can move. 20, 67, 67. Stupid. Alright, here's what's gonna happen. You're gonna attack. I'm gonna get out of the way, because I'm a little scared. And the good thing is if they group up, I can use her little skill. I didn't need to. She got a critical. Good job. Damn, she's kind of crushing it. I'm okay with this. Damn, that was easy. Magic water has been found. Fuck yeah, boy. Ah, great swing. Sure. Weird cat. Too much energy for her. Do I attack this dude? Dude, I wish we could get the DLC announcement for Rokium already. I need more of that game. Yeah, that'd be awesome. I would love that. Oh, fuck. How far do I need to be? Skill... Oh, God of Wind. Single enemy. Oh, that's what I need. Oh, I gotta get close to him. Move. I'm gonna do it. Oh, I can't yet. This should be able to do it. Skill. Shock? Now I gotta get closer. Little closer. There we go. Shock! 300 HP? Yeah, dude, I really liked Requiem. I gotta stream that one still. My marathon's not over. It's been resurrected. Yeah, you do. Yeah, I do. What's his health at, like? Okay, and then yours is... You're good. So you're gonna attack. Also, did you play the Leon Must Die Forever mode? No, not yet. Not yet. It's fun, man. Yeah, no, I heard it's pretty good. It's like a kind of like a rogue little mini game. That sounds kind of awesome for a game like that. It's kind of like Mercenaries meets almost like a horde mode kind of thing, right? Wait, who's the lower level here? 6, 5, 3. Okay, you're gonna do it. Kill him, please. Please do enough to kill him. Simon says kill him. Did that kill him? Yeah, I think so. No. Not as good as Mercenaries, but still good. That's good. I mean, I'm down either way. I would like to play it. It's based on the Ethan Must Die mode in RE7. I didn't really like that mode. I sucked at it. That shit was hard. Oh, I loved it. Yeah, you're a more skilled gamer than me. My skills have waned with age. Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was fucking tough. Fuck, dude, I'm fucking hungry. Which means so satisfying once I beat it. Yeah, no, I feel you there. Who else is left? Oh, this guy. He's like, wait for me! I had to memorize where every possible trap was at, cause shit, that was random each run. I had to memorize where every possible trap was, cause that shit was random each run. Yeah, I knew about the randomization. I didn't know about, oh damn. I killed him? I thought I had more HP than that. Ah, whatever. He leveled up. Anyway, yeah. Damn, dude, you memorize possibilities. It's crazy. What's your health at? 100? Yeah, I had to. Oh, was the only way to beat it? Yeah, that's too much work for me. Anybody hurt? No, just that one guy. I should have healed him. I was being a silly goose. Actually, let me heal first. Man, I love 7 so much. Dude, it's top 5, I think. For sure top 10. And I think it's by far the scariest Resident Evil. It saved RE? Yeah. RE would be dead without it, man. Like, literally. I mean... Just kidding. I was fucking a contrarian tonight. I was gonna defend 6. I feel like I've been mean enough. You would. Yeah. I was like, RE didn't die for me. I was there, man. Oh, yeah, let me try this move. Let me see what this one looks like. I just replayed that shit, too. Fuck, that game sucks. That game's fucking fun, dude. You gotta play it with a buddy, that's why. I mean, even though... Damn, that was a lot of damage. That's a lot of damage! With a friend, yeah, it's fun. Yeah, I mean, I enjoy it alone, too. Mostly because I don't have to deal with, like, Sheva AI using all my fucking ammo, because it's separate. Crushing victory, but I lost Homeboy. I'm glad there's no permadeath in here. I think Tactics has permadeath if you don't save their little crystal in time. Even then, it's super bad. It's a lot of fun with friends, but fuck, it's so bad, lol. You are surely worthy to fight the Genma. You know when it came out, I had like 4 concurrent playthroughs. Because I was playing it alone, loved it. I was playing it with Trevor, loved it. I was playing with Dontre, loved it. And I was playing with like my high school friend Jordan. Like basically at the same time. Like whoever I would be hanging out with, we'd be playing RE6. And now for your prize, but I don't know if it's my most beat one though. Because I replayed one, probably significantly more amount, between Remake and OG. And then, next up would probably be... Fuck, dude. I think I played through 6 more than I played through 5. And now for your prize, Magoichi Saiga, arise! Oh, nice. We're resurrecting him. There were enough campaigns that you could play with a bunch of people if you wanted. 7 sucks. There's 4 enemies. There's the titty one that explodes. What up, Ninja Dog? There's zombies. There's the armored one. And there's a lot of bosses in there. Definitely one of the worst Resi games. Yeah, you guys have talked about it before. I like it. I'm tired of pretending I don't. I'm just kidding, I never did pretend. I have no guilt for my pleasure of RE6. Eh? Where am I? Am I in hell? What? Onimaru, did they kill you too? Silly Magoichi. No, Magoichi. You've been resurrected. Talk about 7, not 6. We were, and then I brought up 6 because I'm an asshole. 7's good. 7's great. What? Are you serious? Yahoo! I'm alive. The fuck? Wait a minute. How did you do that? Onimaru, listen. Nobunaga has erected an occult barrier around Hongo Temple. It's fully protected. What's he up to? 6 was just weird. No, it's weird, but I think it is one of the most, like, fun and playable character controllers in the franchise, but in third-person shooting games. It's like everybody was like, oh man, I can't move and shoot at the same time. I have to fucking stop and aim and I still got tank controls. It's like now you can fucking do 360 movement, you can fucking run, dodge, jump, shoot, roll on the fucking floor. And people were still not happy. I was fine with 6 until that van opened and zombies started shooting pistols at me. Oh yeah. I know what you're talking about. Well, they're not zombies. They're not zombies. They're Majani? Javo. They're Javo. They're like Plagas. They're sea-infected Plagas or some shit like that. No, because that's Metroid, not Resi. Resi 9's tank controls are tight corners. No, RE9's controls are fucking perfect. The movement controls in 6 were the issue, man. Weren't the issue. No, I'm just saying, like, credit where it's due. That is a point at it. This is the final part of this plan. There must be something there to enable him to fulfill his evil design. Then we must go to Hano Temple. But the occult barrier. What can we do? What are we going to do? Magoichi will guide you. Bitch, I'm the main character. Fuck Magoichi. This is like when Zip fucking rescued or captured the brain bug in Starship Troopers. It's like, he wasn't the main character. I haven't seen him for like 50 minutes. Bitch. Magoichi! Stop stealing my thunder! Voice of the White Tiger. Oh, Magoichi. To you, I pass on my secret. It may be too soon for you, but if you build experience, the day will come when you have mastered the technique. And so, Magoichi learned the Tiger Salvo. Voice of the White Tiger. The time has come to breach the barrier. To the White Tiger camp. I see it. I'm beginning to believe. I see the White Tiger camp. It is one of the 4 camps protecting the temple. Magoichi is descended from the White Tiger. He can break the barrier. Break that barrier, bitch. Cool. I've changed my opinion of him. Huh? She's like, I'll suck your dick. There are 3 more folk of destiny like him. Find them and breach the barrier at Hano Temple. Only then can you kill Nobunaga. First, hurry to the camp of the White Tiger with Magoichi. Onimaru, everybody follow me. So fucker gets resurrected and gets a cool White Tiger spirit, and now suddenly you're calling the shots? I'm the daddy. You the mama. I'm the main character. Let's do it. I am nobody's bitch. You are mine. The fuck out of here. Let me do one more of these. I have to go to the office tomorrow. I don't want to go to the office tomorrow. He's have to wake up an hour earlier. Awoken to his fate, Magoichi leads Onimaru's party to the mysterious White Tiger camp, which stands before them. Yo! A mysterious voice. Ah, congratulations, you have come far. Dolikin, one of the 4 Genma Lords. I am Dolikin, one of the 4 Genma Lords. To break the barrier, you must first breach the White Tiger camp. Do you really think you can achieve your goal? Come on then, pit yourselves against the Genma elite. Come on, we have to reach the pillars. What the pillars, everybody? Oh damn. Yeah, we'll get there. Suck my unit. Yeah, I didn't get any new equipment. Oh, but let me see if I can enhance some shit. Can I enhance him? No, no. Oh, what about Tiger Salvo? He needs a herb. What's magic water do? Oh, wrong button. This is select. Magic solution, restoring a little of your SP. Oh, that's kind of awesome. Who gets that one? Honestly, this guy. And who else has really cool abilities? Thunderstrike is pretty good. And you can only do it once, so I'm actually going to give her one too. Oh, alright. Who else needs an herb or something? Okay, you're good. And then go back to Onimusha. Should I enhance again? I don't know. Is he going to be too powerful? Alright, I'll leave it there for now. Because he said I'll fuck myself over and I won't be able to use items if it becomes too powerful for me. Also, this feels weird being there. I was trying to swap it, but I guess not. Alright, I think we're Gucci. So, select, 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 select. Let's go! Death of Onimusha or Maguichi. Actually? And he leveled up. Off to a good start here. Why isn't Jubei in this game? Does he just fuck off after 2? Kinda, yeah. But, as far as I can tell, only Maguichi is the only character to reprise or, make it, like, show up again, you know? So far, at least. I don't know if that's the case for the whole game. But, no, I agree. I like Jubei a lot. Jubei's cool. Alright, what's her power? 180? Okay. Actually, first of all, this is what's gonna happen, because I think... Is it you? Skill. You? Skill. What is your... Do you have a skill, do you? You're stupid. You are stupid! And skill. Defender mode. Okay, yeah. We're gonna give her defender mode. All 3 of these motherfuckers. Nice. He can't attack, they're too high. I think. Jubei. Jubei. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Fuck him up. I think that's the only person I left that can attack. Yep, for now. Alright, your turn. I killed what? 2? 1 turn? That's not bad. Oh, Lord, they coming. Oh, stay grouped up, though. That's gonna be really awesome. Fuck. I knew it. Double slice. Not 2. Not double! Oh, that wasn't that much. Oh, but sure, her defense is increased. Yo! I'm gonna move here and just hope they try to send me. Or no, I'm gonna move here. Just bait somebody to attack me. And send. How much health do you have, bitch? Attack. Attack! Not bad. And then... yeah, you stay here, but who needs experience? You're level 4, you're level 6, 6, 4. Alright, you're gonna get the finishing move. Nice. Oh, then you're gonna heal her, just cause. I don't think she really needs it right now, but... fuck it, you know? I'll move a little closer. I'll get like right here. And then... is this enough for the arrow attack? Jace! Actually, I should have made him go night-night. Somebody else could do more damage. Oh, when they get Esend by homeboy. I did pick Esend, right? I feel like I might have diffed it. Hit ratios. Yeah, this might be fun. Let's do that. Oh, I wasn't paying attention. I was watching the movie and the little thing. That's funny. Defender mode. Oboro. Nice. Alright, now attack. Nice, I got 80 for that. Hell yeah. Brr, brr, brr. Oh. Isen? Does it have to be an oh shit. Oh shit. Actually? Is this gonna end it? Fuck! Alright. Well, it's midnight. So I'm actually gonna call it here. I saved her. Actually, let me save right now, because it lets me keep my experience and shit, I noticed. I didn't realize they were gonna do 30 every time. That's 60 and then 60, and I was like, fuck! Fuck! Stop it! And then we'll just finish Guyver 2. I'm gonna save, and then I might stream tomorrow. I'm trying to do it more regularly. I think I found a groove with like some of my side work, because I usually use Tuesday nights for that because I meet with them on Wednesdays. But I've been, I think I can stream tomorrow, but we'll see. If I do, I do. If I don't, whatever. Oh, 3 minutes. All right, I'll see you in 3 minutes. I fucking love this GameCube, dude. Thanks, Robert. Defending 6 and badmouthing 7. Smells like a plebe in here. I wasn't badmouthing 7. I would never badmouth 7. I love 7. But I will defend 6. Are you back from your patrol? You missed my crushing defeat just now. Ninja Dog he's banned now? Wait. Oh wait, he did. Talking about 7, not 6. Oh shit! I misread that. Damn, dude, I've been doing that all night. 7 sucks. There's 4 enemies. Oh, okay. I missed it. Yeah, that's funny. 7 doesn't suck. I totally misread that. I think I was just so used to everybody dogpiling on 6 that I just maybe I can't hear Joe, but I can still laugh at chat. Oh yeah. Yeah, he's an Adland. It sucks so bad. No, it doesn't. 7 is like one of the best. I will say, yeah, the enemy count is fairly low, but I mean, I don't think it's any worse than like 1 or 2. I didn't have that many enemies either, because I mean, in actually wait, one might have more. Not a real Stan. A real Stan would like all Resident Evil. Confirmed. Yeah, keep telling yourself that. But yeah, because 1 has what? Zombies, snakes, spiders, hunters, and that's it for like the fodder, I think. Oh, and the crows if you want to count those. 7's got the regular ones, the bigger armored ones, the 4-legged jumper ones, the fat ones, the fatter ones. I don't remember any of their names. Joe, we better end this shit before it becomes a war in this chat room. I'm doing the retro achievements for RE2 DualShock version. Nice. Oh, well, I was gonna say I could have done retro achievements for this, but I'm playing on real hardware. That's a real Stan. No, you're just a trophy hunter. That's okay. You and your goddamn retro achievements. It's not a competition. RE's for everybody. But I'm top 45%. I can tell you're really proud of that. I was in the top 10% of RE streamers last year. Or what's the exact stat? Hang on. I think I took a screen grab of it. I was so proud. It was something like you were what? My end of the year stats, because Twitch did like one of those like end of the year wrap up things, and I think it said I was in the top percentile of RE audience people, you know, or something like that. Let me see. 6'7", nice. Was it RE 6 or 7? I think. Let me see. Like I said, I took a screenshot. It's somewhere around here. I'll find it. Get some snake. Get some snake. Is that what you're saying? Oh, is that the RE6 line? Nice. Fuck. Can't find it. David Hayter. Oh! Yeah. That's funny. Hold on. Gotta be here somewhere. And the problem is that like I got a new phone, so all like my my folder system got fucking murdered. I'll find it. LMFAO dork. Yeah, I kind of forgot about that. I was too busy trying to remember the stats. I'll get back to you on that one. But I remember I was like happy. Or could I just pull up my Twitch.tv? Creator dashboard. I wonder if I could just find that somewhere. Reward. Analytic. I don't know. I'll find it one day. I don't know if that's backed up somewhere, but I do remember taking a screenshot of it. But either way, I hope you guys all have a wonderful night. I'm gonna see who we can raid out to. There's only 6 of you, but you know, all raids matter. Rin is playing FromSoft Final Fantasy. Oh, he's playing what's that fucking game called? Final Fantasy Stranger in Paradise. I believe you are top percent in amount of chromosomes. Nice. Thanks, man. Then we got Zero Suit Zelda. Who's this? That's a funny name. Path of Exile. The Moon. Free Ghost of Yote. Yeah, we'll raid Rin. We haven't raided him in a while. All right. Well, I hope you guys all have a good night. I know I said that already. I'm gonna get ready for bed because I'm hungry. And the longer I stay up, the more I'm gonna be like, oh, my stomach's gonna start fucking rumbling because I'm a little baby. Where is? There it is. Later, man. Peace out, bros. Raid Rin XP _. Yeah. All right, that was a good stream today. And I'm going to try to stream tomorrow, but we'll see. I'll try. Do it. Only 4? Oh, I guess plus me and my bot. Bye!